Righty. Let's see where we're at. The live. Where's the live? Oh, I watch it live. Here we go. Ozark Oracle, hello. Jacob's Crackers, hello. Madiak, hello. The cheese slicer, I haven't actually, Madiak. We haven't had any hard cheese to use it yet, but we will use it. And I'm sorry guys for being late. Let me get everything set up. Donna, hello. Rapunzel, hello. Today is 0709-2022. Stream. Is JeffMara, JeffMara podcast. Hey. And it always takes me a minute for those of you that come regularly. It takes me a couple minutes just to set it up. And for those of you who are here for the first time, it takes me a couple minutes just to get set up. So if you can bear with me, I'm going to put next the Discord. Discord link. At a couple of the JeffMara NDE clips. So I'm going to get that. See. If you want. Going to be. And save. All right, so I think that's all there. Let's get back here. All right, great. Thank you guys so much for waiting for me. I apologize for being late. I just was a very busy day, and something happened that I was out of my control. But I'm not too late, maybe about 15 minutes. So again, thank you guys very much for still waiting around for me. And I hope you saw the new video today. I gave you a bonus video this morning. And so maybe many of you were surprised by that, but I think it's kind of cool to surprise you guys from time to time. You see, I think these glasses, they give me less glare from them. The only problem is my prescription has changed. And these are reader glasses. I never needed glasses till I was about 45-ish. And so my eyes have gotten a little bit worse over time, and I can't read as well as I used to be. All right, so if you want to come in and share, in the description below, down below, is the Zoom link and Zoom what do they call that? There's room ID. So you just go to zoom.com, you click join a meeting, and then it'll ask you for the room ID. You type that in, and then it will ask you for the passcode, and then that's there as well. And then you can type in for that. Let's see here. What else is there? Underneath there is also a link to Discord. If you want to join Discord, that is there. All you have to do is go to discord.com and sign up for free. It's kind of like Facebook, but different. And I have my own personal rooms there. So then you get, if you go below, you can get the link to my room, or what they call server, and then you can join my server and you get access to the rooms, and you can hang out with like-minded people. I think there's around 350 people are there. You can hang out there, you can chat, you can voice chat, video chat, post stuff, and there's even rooms for people who do services. So that's there below. If you love NDEs and you don't have an hour to invest in a full video, I have a new channel called JeffMara NDE Clips, and on that channel I post just the clips of videos of the. And basically, they're just the guests telling their NDE. So it's usually somewhere between 5 and 15 minutes, somewhere in that time frame. So if you just want to see their NDE with no intro, no outro, no questions, just to see the NDE, that may be for you. That's the link below. And if you're into that, please sign up or please subscribe. Chelsea Quake, thank you so much for that. Super thanks. I really appreciate that. Merlin is not going to make it today, unfortunately. He said, I think he's under, and I had a new person. Let me see if I have to switch glasses. I had a new woman that's also a tarot reader, and I asked her if she wanted to fill in for Merlin today. I left her a message. She did not respond back to me, so I don't know if she's coming or not, but maybe she will and maybe she won't. And then what else is down there? Underneath, besides that, is the JeffMara Facebook official page. And so on the official page, you can always like it, and then if you may, if for some reason you're not, you're more active on Facebook, when I post a video, I usually always post it there as well, so you'll see it pop up so you won't miss it. And then lastly is my own personal Facebook account. You're welcome to friend me. I get 5,000 friends, and I'm accepting friends until the end, until there's no more left. So you're welcome to do that. And that is my real last name. It is Reynolds. Mara is my wife, for those of you who are new. So that may, you may be confused by that, and that hopefully will clear up that confusion. And I think we got all the, these type of announcements for what's going on. Let's see what else is going on. Let's see the week ahead. I can tell you we have some talk about the guests that are coming on. I have an NDE that I already, not an NDE, but I have an NDE that I recorded that I'll post tomorrow. Today I recorded an NDE. Another NDE with a guy that was a Navy diver, and that's an interesting NDE. Tomorrow I have my first Muslim guest, and we are going to be talking, from what I know of, about how Prophet Muhammad, I think, had an out-of-body experience, so that should be really fascinating. On Monday, I have a guy, let me see, I was looking for him, and I think he has something to do with pets, like talks to animals, or spiritual pet psychologist or something like that. So if you're into pets, I think you'll enjoy that one. On Tuesday, I have Victoria Clarke, and I think she was a journalist she's from Ireland. And she does angel paintings, just kind of like we had this week with Kate Raymond, but they also make her prints of her paintings into clothing. So that should be pretty cool. We have Dee Wallace on Thursdays, which I'm going to record with her, and she is the woman that played the mother in E.T. And she was also in the movie Cujo. If you guys remember that one, if you're older like me, you might remember that one. And I think she's done like 250 movies. And I didn't know till recently, I found out about her, that she's like a spiritual dynamo, and she is going to be talking about manifestation. And she's also a channeler, so hopefully that'll be really awesome. And then I think I have a couple more NDEs coming up. I know I have to record one on Friday, record one on Saturday, and Sunday. A week from tomorrow, I'll be recording one that is into the UFO NDE connection. So we talk about that sometime. So I hope you guys will really like that one. So that's basically the week ahead. All right, so let's see where we're on. We don't have Merlin here, so we're starting off just kind of waiting for guests. We have 100 people here, so there should be at least one of you here with me. And that's just, what is that? 1%. If 1% of you guys would come in and share, that would put me in at one guest. If 10% come in, then I'd have 10 of you lined up ready to get in. All right, someone is saying the volume is too low. Well, thank you for telling me that. I'll put my mouth closer to the mic. Hopefully that will help you. Let me know if that's better. And you have the volume at 100%. Is anybody else having volume problems? Aliens equal Tom DeLonge equals Steve-O podcast. I would like to get Tom DeLonge on. That'd be pretty cool. I'm waiting for that to see if you guys can hear properly. No one talks about it. Not sure what that is. There we go. It's good now. Okay, I may have just not been facing the mic well and projecting my voice better. Volume is super. All right, great. All right, so while we're waiting, I was going to talk about UFO and different type of stuff in the news last week, but it was so busy we never even got to that. And Tanya has a couple of videos to share. You're welcome to pop in and tell us about it. And let me pull up the JeffMara podcast, because I posted them on Facebook, and as you guys know, I was running late today, so I didn't even get my stuff ready on all my news articles ready. So I'm going to go to my JeffMara podcast page, and you can find them there too as well. And let's see some of the news articles I was going to speak about last week. If I can pull those up. Wow, Eugene Braxton. That's interesting. And, well, we got someone here. Kelly. All right, maybe we'll get to that later then. Asked to start video. I can hear her. Kelly, can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah. Hi, Jeff. Hi, everybody.
Hello. You've been in before, yes?
Yeah.
I thought I recognized
my camera
you.
was backwards.
You're what?
I decided to said my camera was backwards last time.
Oh, that's all right. I'm pretty good at remembering faces, so when I saw you, I recognized you. So where are you from again? I forgot. I don't remember that part though.
I'm in New Mexico.
Oh, New Mexico. That's right. You're in Socorro. Are you in Socorro?
My gosh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yes, that's it. And I remember you shared kind of, I don't know if it was last time you were in, I don't think it was an NDE you shared, but it was something.
Yeah, it was a real short NDE. Well, I
NDE,
don't know if I actually died, but
right?
it was a short NDE story. And
Hmm.
probably the most I got out of that one was that I was fascinated that I was perfectly fine and alive, but I wasn't breathing,
Yeah,
and had people in the background yelling, breathe, breathe. And then I was like, I'm not breathing and I'm fine.
yeah.
So I was really irritated all those years. I was breathing for no reason, didn't need to after all.
Well,
But
thank you
I
for.
thought it was,
I was going to say thank you for joining us today. And what do you have to share with us?
yeah, and I'm sorry I interrupt. Sometimes
That's
there's
okay.
a delay. My internet's a little bit slow. Um, well, I thought I would share with you about, I don't really know what to call it. If it's a portal,
Cool.
or one person described it as kind of like a Bermuda Triangle. I used to call it a time warp, but for at least 21 years now, my profession has been selling remote acreage. And
Remote
so,
acreage?
yeah, land.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, out in the middle of nowhere. And so I worked for a developer the first 5 years, and we were subdividing big ranches into acreage. And there was this one, so I would go out ahead of time, and it's real rugged terrain, and go out there and spend as long as you have to, often hiking the properties, finding the boundary lines, the corners. So that way I knew it well enough to be able to show it, to sell it. And here's the building site, and here's, here's easier access, what have you. And there was this one particular lot, I called it a lot. There were 30 acres typically on this
Nice.
ranch. And there was this one particular one that I would hike the boundary line and make it all the way to the back, and never knew what was going to happen on this particular property. And so I would be coming back to the road. Usually I'd try to find my way like up one line, the back, and then come down the other side. And but this particular property, I would end up, 2 or 3 lots like down the road someplace else. And it was the only property we had about 4,500 acres, all scattered out in the forest. And it was the only property that would do this to me. And I was back at the office one day, so frustrated because I could never make it around this property without ending up way down the road someplace else. And so I was at the office, and I asked one of the girls, I was like, asked her if she was having a problem with that lot. And she just kind of turned her chair real slow, looking at me. And she's like, yeah. She's like, so we started comparing notes, and it was happening to both of us.
Wow.
And so I got to where when I would show that property, I would stay on the line and tell people, because I was afraid if I got off the line, I had no idea where we would end up. And in fact, I would even time it. Like, I'd been hiking these properties so often that I knew how long it would take me to go, let's say, a quarter mile, half mile in a certain terrain, if I knew exactly where I was going, or if I was just trying to find my way. And I worked at the time, and there would be no way I could end up like a quarter of a mile or a half mile someplace else, even if I knew where I was going and hiked a straight line across. And so when I would show the property, I would stay on the line, not telling people I have no idea what's going to happen to us. I say, you guys go on over there, look around, what have you. And I'll be over here, and I'm here, so that way you know where the line is. It was really because I wasn't leaving that line. And but anyway, it was I guess fast forward, my gosh, almost 20 years. I'm 20 years older. And even 5 years ago, the people I'd sold it to years ago, they decided they wanted to list it to sell it. And I couldn't ever remember exactly which lot it was. And I asked them, was that the one that? And they're like, yeah, that's the one. And so even sometimes I would like I use orange survey flag.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I do too, when I'm hiking the lines, I have my compass, you know, and then along the way, there's little sticks that the surveyors put in, but it's random. You never know if you're going to find one or not. And when I do, I'd flag and kind of like breadcrumbs so you can see the line. And even one time I hiked all the way up the line and I came down the same line and I passed like the same landmarks, let's say like a gnarly tree or a big white rock. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing good. And I'm working my way back to the road. And sure enough, I ended up down the road 2 lots later.
Wow.
So anyway, fast forward all these years, and I couldn't wait to get back on that property to see if it was still going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm armed with, you know, time's gone by. Now I have an ATV, you know, I don't have to hike it and find out I'm a half mile down the road and waste all that time. And I got my GPS, and I had the GPS corners. I used to own the lot. We shared a corner. I owned one next door. And so I had the GPS corners logged in my waypoints on my GPS, had my ATV, and I thought, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake. I'm just going to get my GPS and zip around it, get it all flagged up, and have it ready to show. And so I go to the one corner where it met with mine, and I'm going up the hill on the ATV, and I'm flagging the trees and got my waypoint set just to go to the back corner. It's probably only a couple thousand feet. You know, most people talk yards. I deal with feet. And then all of a sudden, and this has happened several times, and then all of a sudden, I'm looking at a house, and I know this house, and at this point, I'm so disoriented because I realized this house, you shouldn't be able to see from this property. And it was 2 lots the opposite direction of where I was going, past the one I owned, and then past another one. And I just totally dumbfounded how I got there. I don't remember getting there. And to get there, I'd have to go through a big wash. And anyway, so I started working my way back, and I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I know where I am. And there's a forest boundary sign. I'm like, yeah, that was, you know, in a big survey monument, the government monument. So I knew where I was. And I get back to the corner where I started. And the weird thing is there's only one place to cross the wash. You know, wash is like a sandy,
Right. Yeah.
some people don't know what it is, like a arroyo wash. And it's like a sandy natural water course.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only one place where it's not too steep to be able to cross it with the ATV. There were no tracks in the wash. And I'm back to the beginning corner. I see my flags heading in that direction, but somehow I ended up way over there. And so this has happened several times. And so even like if I'm going to take someone to like the one corner I know I can get to with no problem, just walk up the wash, and there it's going to be. I'll set my GPS just for assurance and have my compass. And I'll kind of warn people now. It's like, I don't know where we're going to end up. You know, I look like a total idiot on that lot, but it spits you out. It doesn't want you on the property. And so one time there was another broker that I talked to pretty often, and she had the property next door to it for sale, which I've hiked that one a bunch of times. And I didn't even tell her about what this lot would do to you. But she would go out there with her dog, and she was hiking the boundary line of the lot next door. So it shares a corner, and the back corner. And she was telling me that she lost her dog, and that was the reason of her story. But what happened to her was this lot somehow, it sucked her in and spit her out on the other side. She didn't know where her dog was. She didn't know where she was. All of a sudden, she manages to find her way back to the road, starts walking back up the road and up the hill. And then there's the car and there's the dog. Of course, I'm wondering what happened to the dog. The dog didn't go in the lot, didn't follow her, nothing. And so that's when I told her about the strange happenings on that property. but but it's like you lose time.
I was going to
Like I'll
ask
be,
that. Were you tracking time and did you lose time? Did you have any missing
no,
time?
I haven't done it like that. I'm going to go back there and go try it again.
It,
And because sometimes I went with a friend that we
mhm,
made friends last year.
mhm.
He and I went out there and I was telling him about it. So we went on the ATV, and the plan was, because he was asking if my compass went nuts. And I'm like, I don't really notice, because it's like you blink, it's like you're doing fine. And then you just blink and you're someplace else.
Have you been to Sedona,
And
Arizona before?
just went through it once.
Did you
I
feel that?
want to go back.
Did you go and experience the energy vortexes there? And if so, I wonder if there's an energy vortex there in
I
Socorro,
know.
like Sedona, or is it possible? Do you think that there's an Indian burial ground there?
It's close to a reservation, very close. It's in a checkerboard national forest, where every other section is either, section being 1 square mile, every other section is either national forest or private land. And it
Hmm.
was the private land that we had subdivided. And just as a crow flies, one of the properties I owned out there did border the reservation
Hmm.
and national forest on another side. And there, you know what? It's Anasazi country. That's right. We did um, probably around 2003, the developer had to do archaeological surveys, and some of the lots do have significant archaeological finds on them
Yeah.
from the Anasazi. I think they called Pueblo 2 or something. I don't
Hmm.
remember how far
Hmm.
back, probably like
Right. Yeah.
1200s.
Well, I would.
But
I'm gonna be
yeah,
waiting for you to go do another not another survey of the property and keep a stopwatch or something. If you have your mobile phone, they all have stopwatches on there. I'd be curious to see if you either that or watch or look at the time and see if you end up having missing time out of the deal.
yeah, I never thought to look at the time. I mean, I just, and usually when that happens, like when it spits me out, now the last time it did suck me in. I was going to the one simple corner with this man, and I was being super careful, but it's a corner I would never ever not be able to find. That one corner, it's usually where I would start. And we never got to that corner. We ended up at the other one across the other side of the property. I
Hmm.
mean, just like that. And I'm like, I do not know how we got here.
Wow.
It's a
Wow.
beautiful property and it
Yeah.
has a lot to offer, but it's hard to show
Right.
because you never know what's going to happen.
Right. You know.
But yeah, after thinking about that, because now I call it the portal, and
Hmm.
I'm thinking, like, when the weather cools down, I want to take a trip to Sedona
Yeah.
and see what happens out there.
Cool.
But I'll come back another time.
I,
There's some other magical stuff that happens out there I'll tell you about.
Please do. And I have 5 people waiting, and if nobody was waiting, I would ask you this. But I would, I'd always thought about moving out to New Mexico and buying land, but I just don't have time to talk to you about that. But maybe next time we will.
Okay. All right. Well,
Thanks for
thank
popping in,
you. Bye,
Kelly.
everybody. I'll be
Good
back to
seeing you
watching.
again. Bye bye. Oh, she did it for me. All right. All right. So let's see who is next. I think Tanya was next. I thought that's who I saw waiting. I'm assuming it goes Tanya's in this direction.
All right. Well, thank you. Bye, everybody. I'll be back to watching.
Asked to start video. There she comes. Hey, Tanya, haven't seen you in a while. How have you been?
Hi, how are you?
Great. How are you? Where are you at now again? I forgot. Is it, I'm trying to remember where you're located at. Florida?
Illinois.
Where?
Illinois?
Illinois.
Yeah,
What
close
part?
close to San Luis actually.
Oh, you're like at East St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still in,
Yeah.
are you still in the military?
No, I retired in 2018.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's why I'm here.
I was going to say, I don't know of any military bases near East St. Louis.
Um, Scott Air Force Base is a little bit more to the north, but I mean, I'm like in the middle of East St. Louis and St. Louis and Scott Air Force Base.
Oh, nice. You like it there?
I'm only here because like I bought the house here before I retired, and then when I was getting ready to leave the military, my kids didn't want to move anymore.
Yeah.
So
That
they were
happens.
tired of moving like their entire life.
Right.
So they were like, oh, we don't want to move anymore. And I was like, really? This is where I'm going to end it up.
So this is where you end up, East St. Louis.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I saw in the chat that you said something about you had videos or something. What do you have to share with us?
Yes. So I wanted to ask you if you will not mind sharing the
Sharing the screen? Yeah, we can do
so that
that.
I can show you the videos.
All right. Let me see. I think I just turned it on. Yes. So what are these going to be videos of?
So the first one I want to show you guys is the one that I recorded on the 4th of July.
All right.
So I started listening, hearing the fireworks and things outside, and then I just went outside with that intention to record the fireworks. But then when I was recording the fireworks, I looked to the right left. I looked to the left of the where the fireworks were happening, and there was like a blinking light that called my attention. So I was like, that's so weird, and I just started trying to record that blinking light. But because I don't have a professional camera, I just have like my iPhone, I couldn't really get a good image of it. However, what I got was something else entirely that it kind of like popped up in front of me when I was trying to record that blinking light on the sky.
All right.
Well, let me see. How do I do
Let's
this?
see what you got. Now you should be able to.
So
I made it so you're able to share screen. I don't remember how to do it. I think there you go. Share
Okay.
screen has started.
Okay. So this is what I got.
Untitled 67. Looks like I see some video of some orbs in your room or something as well.
Yes. So you see that flashing thing? That 67, if you play 67, I'm sorry.
It's funny because I want to click on it, but then I realize it's not my computer. You've got to click on it.
Oh, so I click on it,
Yeah.
but you're not seeing it? Oh, maybe I have to change it.
Yeah, because if I go to it, I don't think, yeah. No, I can't click on it.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe we just happen to click at the same time.
Oh, no. What happened now? Okay. So can you...
There you go. Looks like it's about to do something.
Can you see it or not yet? Because
No,
it's playing.
It's not playing for me.
Oh. Okay.
I'm assuming you would just double click it and then it should just start playing.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it playing on my side. What about now?
I just see what I'm seeing is your desktop.
Right, and you're seeing the folders, right? What about now?
It just says I'm viewing Tanya's screen.
Oh, I had the wrong desktop. What about now?
What? I just still see the same thing. Try clicking your video again.
I had three, sorry guys. I have three
You have three
monitors.
Oh, okay. You've got to drag it over to this monitor.
Yeah, there we go. Can you see it now?
Negative.
Oh man, what a bummer. because I just switch it to all the monitors. You cannot see it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I don't know.
What if you try? Is there another one or just that one?
Okay, so
Click on a different video just to try a different video and see what happens.
I'm gonna put share a screen 2. And
Okay,
then,
now I see Jesus.
okay, and then I'm going to change, where's my files? I'm going to move the files here. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I'm so sorry.
We almost
Okay.
got it. We almost got it because we saw Jesus. So wherever you got to, we were on our way.
So when it plays on another. There we go. There it goes. Here it is.
Well, there's something that's like in your bedroom.
Right. So
That looks like an orb.
So I want to show you guys. Oh, okay. Because there is several videos, but I want to start with the one that
That looked like an orb flying by.
okay, there we go. Now you can see it?
Yeah.
There we go. So this is outside on the 4th of July. So I was trying to like record something else, and this is what showed up in front of me.
It looks like, I don't know, almost look like lightning or something.
Yes, but it's like really weird. Like it has like you see it has like several loops or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the video it looks kind of like blurry, but it wasn't blurry. It was like really let me stop this one.
How close was that to you?
It was like right in front of me, like right in front of me.
And that wasn't fireworks?
No.
Wow, that's
No,
amazing.
it was not fireworks. It was like this flash thing. And it was so fast. I really had to like slow down the camera to be able to catch it.
I'm curious to see what people in the chat will say, what they think. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah. That's why I wanted to share with the community, because I was like, maybe somebody will know like what this is.
So it would just flash like, how long would it be there for? Like even a full second or less than that?
It was less than a second. Less than a second. And then the other videos that I wanted to share is like kind of like a day off in the life of these short videos that I accumulated. This is like just this week. Like each day when I go to sleep or something, like I could be totally asleep in my dream, and I will wake up in the middle of the night or whatever, and then it's like something tells me like record now.
Okay.
And then I start recording, and I always catch.
That's awesome.
So
oh, there it goes.
Yeah, it's kind of like.
Do you see it without recording, or it only shows up in your camera?
Well, sometimes I see like a sparkling lights, like sparkles. And then when I see the sparkles, like I know that there is an orb.
That's amazing.
That's one. And then I kind of like zoom it in to try to like catch it, because
it seems like it keeps flying in the same pattern.
Okay, so when you see that, it's because I'm like going back in the seconds and trying to like pass it like one more time so that you can see it.
Oh, okay, like maybe you're slowing it down and replaying it.
I'm slowing it down, or I'm going back to so that you guys can see. So this is the image of that one. And it's kind of like a finger or something. I don't know. To me, it looks kind of like a finger. I don't know what you guys think.
From what I've seen, my guess is it's a fairy, but
Oh,
I could be totally wrong. So, that's just kind of like a guess because it's not shaped round like an orb.
no, not at all. It's kind of like a flash, like a finger.
And then you said it's sparkly too, so that
Yeah.
that's
If
my guess.
if you see like it has several colors. Like it's white, it's green, it has some kind of like red tint to it or pink. I don't know if you guys see that.
Mm, a little bit, yes.
And then let's see. This one I wanted to share because I wanted to show you guys that it's not only in my room, like it also happens like in the living room or like where I have a camera.
Right, and that one looks more like an orb.
Yes, that one looks more like a normal orb. And then here's other ones. You see like the flash. That one was kind of fast, but this is another one. You see like the
Yeah,
red,
yeah, it's a red one, red orb.
it's like red or how you say that? Fuchsia?
Mm-hmm.
Like a fuchsia color. And this is a special one that I always see this one around also.
Now, do you see the orbs as well? And when you do see them, are they also looking sparkly?
Yes, they have like a fluorescent kind of translucent kind of color. So the camera doesn't really do justice, and because this is just like the iPhone, like you don't really
Do you
you
get
don't really capture
when they're around you? Do you have any fear, or you're used to them and you don't? You just kind of doesn't bother you.
when they are good. I don't have any fear at all.
When you said when they are good,
Yeah, when I feel that they are good, like they may be my guides or guardian angels or whatever. When I feel that they are good, like I had no fear whatsoever. But I have instances when I feel fear, and it's so much that it's like I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack.
hmm,
And
wow.
then when that happens, I know that the energy that have entered is not good. uh,
Have you whenever you're having that kind of feeling, have you ever tried to film them as well?
I'm so petrified that I don't even move, Jeff. Like
Well, that's okay.
it's a fear that takes over you or over me, and I cannot even move at all. And so it takes me a minute to like get over the fear and move. And when I do, I reach over to like turn on the light or take the Bible and read the Bible or pray or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually like I calm down and
Right.
go to sleep.
Well,
But
Tanya, I appreciate you showing us this stuff. It was cool, and I hope you come back and show us some more. I have to run, unfortunately.
yeah,
I've got, I think, like four
yeah,
people waiting.
thank you so
But
much.
thank you. Let me see. How do I get out of this? There we go.
I click a stop sharing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
and sharing with us.
Thank
I
you, Jeff.
I appreciate
Bye.
you. All right, you have a great
You
rest of
too.
your weekend.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye. All right, so that was great. We got to see some orbs and we got to see something which I have no idea what that was. I'm not sure if anybody else said what that was, but that was something totally different. That kind of flash, like a lightning bolt. But I guess you could see. Have you ever seen lightning slowed down? It's kind of blown up like that, and on camera, it's not all sharpened like you see in the sky. Maybe it was ball lightning. I'm not sure. But speaking of lightning, we've got Mr. Lightning himself, Mr. Stephen Cake. Welcome, our most dedicated audience member.
We're gonna get this baby up to 88 miles an hour.
Well, what's going on this week, Stephen?
Well, my life is a nightmare, but I thought I'd tell some jokes and talk about some things.
All right. You know, and I was going to say we saw her orbs, and I don't know if you still have them on your YouTube channel, but Stephen also has videos of him, I think, juggling and having orbs around him at the same time.
And that's what got me to first start uploading. Was I got orbs, and I was like, people might want to see this.
So have you?
But I have a theory about the
a theory about what?
I have a theory that all about the paranormal on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a comedian had a joke that Bigfoot is blurry, and I think there's some truth to that. Is that we'll never get a clear picture of Bigfoot. It'll always be like a blurry image.
I was going to have a guest one time. He was from Peru. I had him, but it didn't work out. And let me backtrack. Some of my NDE guests will tell you, at least tell me before we start, that their bodies do mess up with electronics and stuff. So I could see that possibly happening with Bigfoot or anything else. You know, maybe that they do something to affect the electronics.
Yeah, and any type of orb, like someone could always just say it's dust. So it's like, or light coming in at a certain angle.
But like we just saw, I mean, there's dust. I mean, if you look at the sun, sometimes if you catch a sunbeam coming through your window, you can see a ton of dust floating in that sunbeam. But yeah, she just showed us one orb flying around. You know, if it was dust, it should be, you know, hundreds of dust particles flying around.
That's the thing. It's like hard to pin down exactly what it is, because I think just that's the way the world's designed, is that because even when Jesus did miracles, people could deny them, and they could say, oh, it's the work of the devil, or, you know, something like that. So it's like nothing's ever that clear.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But did you hear Forrest Gump had a NDE?
No.
I had an NDE, and I went to heaven. I fell off my riding lawnmower. I saw Bubba up there. My mom was eating chocolate. She said everyone eats chocolate up in heaven. And I saw Jenny, and we tried to find her daddy, but we couldn't find him. So maybe he went somewhere else.
What about Trump? Has he ever had an NDE?
Let me tell you something, folks. We got the biggest God. We got the best book. I hold the Bible up high.
I've been on the other side. It is amazing.
It's wonderful there. You're gonna love it. Mary, there's another Mary, you want the moon? I'll give you the moon. You want Bedford Falls? I'll give you Bedford Falls. You want to play with my friend Harvey? You can play with my friend Harvey. And Doc Brown asked him, why do you need 88 miles an hour? Marty, 88 miles an hour stands for time travel and numerology. That's why I picked it.
And what was how many gigawatt? What was that? The gigawatts? Remember that? Somehow you need that. What was the
21 gigawatts, Marty? It's a lot of power. Wait till you get this baby up to that speed.
I keep seeing in my Facebook read, it was like a recent picture of Marty and Doc together now. I don't know, what is it, 30 years later? Have you seen that on your Facebook feed if you have Facebook?
On Facebook. Yeah.
We have a request from the audience for you to do Mike Tyson.
Listen up. I'm not going to do what you tell me to do. You want me to do Mike Tyson? I'm not going to do Mike Tyson. I'm going to punch you right in the face. And then I'll teach you a little lesson to respect your elders.
That's a good one.
Hope you heard that.
Yeah.
Someone wanted to know where John Hammond was. He's at the Diner Star. That's where he's at. He's looking for the next DNA, the Diner Star DNA there.
And do you do John Wayne? I feel like you'd be really good at that.
All right, Pilgrim. We're gonna do John Wayne the joke. We're gonna get things going here. Another NDE, another story. We're gonna like it. You're gonna enjoy the next guest on the show. There you go.
What about
Thanks for putting me out there.
what about G.W. Bush?
The other guy? Or the younger one?
The younger Bush, Bush the second.
That's right. We're going to do something real special here. We're going back to the moon. We've been there once. We've been there twice. Third time's a charm.
I would love to see if you could have younger Bush arguing with Trump. I'm creating you a whole routine here.
Well, I was going to talk about redesigning society around spiritual principles.
Yeah.
Just that right now our society works really good if you're rich or have a lot of caring, or but if you're lacking caring, resources, or power, you're pretty much screwed. So people need to be able to get help with their problems. And so we'd have to redesign, and no one should just be punished. Everyone should be given options. Like we want to help people first.
Right.
And here's another one I came up with. We need good faith laws. So if a corporation or something becomes evil, then we can petition to take it over. And that we can have big trials because right now it's too easy to intimidate 12 jurors. So when it's a big, we need a big selection. We can't just have a few people decide, because they'll just be paid off or rigged. So
yeah, you're looking for it's almost like a Star Trek society. What you're saying, something futuristic.
And there'd be a council of elders, and they would have fireside chats explaining things to people. Yeah, because everyone has to feel loved and like that they have value, and we should never tell someone, toughen up and life is pain, deal with it. Like that is the wrong attitude.
Right. And after having different guests, I believe that everybody is important and everybody matters. People may not realize that, but everyone is
we
important.
have to make people feel that. We can't just tell them, we have to make them feel, because people say, oh, you matter, and I go, but I don't feel that way.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do a micro Johnny Depp impression.
All right. You may see them back in court. If you've been following the news, they have a whole problem of one of their jurors, and since it's a big that's a big mess. Big mess.
Yeah, I'll blame half of that on my spirit friend, because she likes to play around with me, and so I end up making a fool out of myself, because when I walk around, like she's moving my arms and whatnot, and I go, "Do you think people notice?" They probably don't. I don't know.
You should tell her, don't you see what you're doing to me? You're making me look like a fool.
And tell her, you're a bad girl. You're bad.
All right, Stephen, I've got to do what I got to do and run to the next person. I appreciate you coming and hanging with us. And
Thanks
we
for having me
wish you
on,
the
and
best.
God bless everyone.
God bless you. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. All right. Alistair. Adam is next. So it's good. It got busy. In the beginning, it was just me, but now it got busy. So that's great. And we're doing pretty good. 186 people.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
Oh, yeah, sorry, you just caught me unawares there. How you doing?
That's
Right.
okay. Give me 1 second. Let me help you start your video.
Is that okay? Have you got me?
I've got you. How are you, Adam? Have
I'm
you been
good.
on? Have you been on before?
No, I haven't. I've been in the chat a few times. I've been meaning to get on, but I've not had the chance. I'm in the UK, so.
Well, thank you for staying up so late with us, and thank you for joining. So, what part of England are you in?
Well, I'm down in near Brighton, about south of London, about 40 miles south of London.
Brighton. Okay. Is that directly south or southwest?
Directly south of London.
Directly south. Oh, awesome. What is that you have on your wall behind you? The wooden thing.
I'm an artist, so that's.
Oh, okay. It's part of an easel, part of a painting. Wow, that looks
Yeah,
awesome. Do you paint NDEs or what?
No, I do a bit of spiritual painting, but it's mostly like painting of piers and London, and I've done some New York. I was doing a New York painting today, so
It's fantastic.
so yeah.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you, thank you. I do a bit of spiritual painting, but most people don't sort of get it. So yeah, no, it's interesting. But yeah, I thought I've been wanting to share this with you because I know you like the aliens and all that kind of thing.
Yes, I do.
So this is one of the world's most famous photos. It's called the Solway Firth Spaceman. And this was taken in 1964 by a guy called Jim Templeton. It's one of the most famous photos of an alien or a supposed alien ever taken. Now, my grandmother knew Jim Templeton well. And strangely enough, I've got the same birthday as him.
Mm.
And he had an encounter with the Men in Black as well.
Right. All right. Before you get into that, can you please describe for us, what are you showing there? Because it looks like I see a little girl with a white something behind her.
So the guy was taking a photo of his daughter. Now, this is one of a series of 4 photos. Obviously, back in those days, it wasn't digital. So he's taken 4 photos of the girl, and one of them has come up with this guy at the back of her here. Now, it looks like a sort of a toy, like alien, a toy spaceman, if you like. And we have to remember that in 1964, no one knew what a spaceman looked like. I've got a letter here. Now, this actually was tested by Kodak and the RAF. So the original negative has reproduced and examined by almost all of the country's experts, including Kodak, Royal Air Force, and it's also drawn the attention of NASA. So NASA's checked this one out as well. It is one of the most famous. Yeah, it's one of the most famous. If you can put it in the search engine, it's a very, very famous photo.
Wow, that's amazing.
The negative has been cleared of any suspicious of being doctored or touched in. It remains an unexplained mystery. The body appears to be that of a spaceman in a very sophisticated spacesuit. Remember that the date, the world hadn't put anyone in space. Mm-hmm. So the guy is, according to the experts, he's 7'10". So that's, judging by his shoulders and everything else, he's 7'10". He weighs around 15 stone and it's human in shape.
Right. I want to Google that picture. What is that picture called again, if I want to Google it?
The Solway Firth Spaceman.
Say that again, please.
Solway, Solway. Firth, Firth, Spaceman.
Solway Firth Spaceman. Oh, see, yeah, it's so much better now that I can see it on the internet.
Yeah, I do.
It's okay. It doesn't show well through the camera, but when I see the picture on the spaceman, that's amazing. So you are in possession of the actual real photograph?
So
the original one?
One of two. So it's one of two originals. So
That's
my
amazing.
grandmother worked for charity, and her boss was best friends with Jim Templeton. And her boss was with Jim Templeton on the day when that photo was taken. And my grandmother passed about 2 weeks ago, bless her. But after about 17 years of service, now this was in the 1990s, so it wasn't that famous then. It was still quite well known because he had an encounter with the Men in Black as well, which I'm happy to talk about. But
Wow.
he gave her the photo as a leaving gift, and my grandmother gave it to me because
That's
I
awesome.
mean I've grown up in haunted houses. I've got photos of ghosts. I've seen ghosts. The whole lot. So I'm a
And
twin flame.
now that letter that you're reading, is that the official letter that also from
No,
those places?
no. This is actually from the Save the Children. So that's from the thing. But it was taken as a copy
Mm.
from something. So expert about. So it's a bit more. So basically, but there's more to this story than just this, because it's actually quite a lot to it. So the helmet. So the enlargement of the spaceman himself and the equipment of his helmet appears to be very much in advance of anything the Russians or Americans have even now. This was done in the 1990s. The suit appears to be rubbery, and his shoulders blades are quite clearly visible. So that's when they blow it up. But this was in connection with the Blue Street missile, which was Britain's nuclear launch missile. So Britain's version of the cruise missile to launch nuclear warheads. And it was in the Solway Firth that they were making the parts, but they were going to launch it in Australia. And they weren't able to launch it because when they went to launch it, there was two large men on the launch pad, and they fit the description. Now, Jim, to give you an idea of who Jim Templeton is, he's a Geordie. Now, Geordie, the American version, will be like a good old boy, from a good old sort of real honest, hardworking, guy who's a fireman. And just lying and making things up was just not in his character. My grandmother knew him well. He had two men in black knock on his door, and they took him to the Solway Firth, and they said, "Well, where's the other one? Did you see where did you see the other one?" And he says, "I didn't see any of them. He didn't see this guy. Didn't see it." He says, "I just didn't see it. It just came out in the photo." And they started to get angry. He said that they were quite, he was a tough guy, and but he was quite, nervous, and they started to get agitated. He just said that it was just something very strange, but they were dressed all in black. Obviously, we know now they're men in black, and they insisted that they tell them where the other one was. And he said he didn't know, and they got angry. They got in the car and they left him there. So they just left him there.
Wow.
But the two guys that were found at the Blues that were to do with this. So it's a really interesting saga that these guys appeared to be getting involved in the nuclear missile program, and the Men in Black were looking for them. That's as much of the story as I know. And yeah, it's that. So my grandmother's an extremely good judge of character. What Jim Templeton's, a lot of that you can find online still. But what Jim Templeton said it's solid. It's absolutely solid. He's not a guy to be messing about with this sort of thing. He didn't like the attention that it got, because he's just a good, honest working man.
Now, it's my understanding that he didn't see it when he took the picture. He only saw it once it was developed, right?
That's right, yeah. I've had a similar situation with a ghost as well, yeah. Which I haven't got it on my computer, but I'd share it.
Wow, it's amazing. It's awesome that you have you have in your hands an amazing piece of history.
It is. I mean, it is an incredible incredible photo. I mean, it's I'm very, very proud. My grandmother also had an NDE as well, so which, as I say, she's gone over now. But yeah, I've got all this sort of thing right the way through my family. So yeah.
Have you, since you're a painter, have you ever tried painting the picture, like recreating it in a painting?
No, I've been told that I should be trying to do channel painting. I mean, so I mean, I'm an artist. I've got my art for sale, but times are tough here as well. So you know, people aren't buying art so much these days. I used to run a company. I used to be a company director. So I've had a kind of spiritual awakening myself with the things like the Mandela effect, which you probably know, of a twin flame experience. So
wow.
That was an interesting one. So I always like to hear about twin flames from people who've been, which is that led me to you because that kicks the socks off you.
Well, you'll have to come back and maybe tell us your twin flame experience.
Oh well, yeah, I can. I'm happy to. Yeah,
that'd be great. I don't know if you saw the video that I posted the other day of the guy that during his NDE, he says he's a walk-in, and he's also, I think, had a twin flame experience.
I saw that he mentioned the twin flame experience. I mean, yeah, I did see that. It's slightly. I mean, he sort of mentioned a soulmate. It's slightly different. He didn't really get into it. Twin flame's all about like a spiritual awakening. I mean, my life, I was, should we say, I was living the not my soul's path, should we say. I was, you know, nice cars and fast living, basically. And it's, you know, they're there to shake all hell out of you until you drop to your knees, and
that'll shake you up.
Oh yeah.
Well, Bud, well, Mike, thank you. I mean, not Mike, Adam, thank you so much for coming in and sharing that piece of history with us. I really appreciate that. And again, I hope you come back and share some other stories with us.
More than happy to. Thanks, Jeff.
All right, it was a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was pretty awesome. I mean, that is amazing that we got the someone who's holding one of the actual pictures of that famous picture. And if you, again, what was it called? It was called Solway Firth Spaceman. And when you see it online, it's just maybe it didn't come through his camera well. But when I looked at it, and if you Google it, you can see that it's a spaceman standing behind this girl. Great. All right, we have another Jeff. So let's see what's up with Jeff. Firth Spaceman, and when you see it online, there he is. Just maybe it didn't. All right, turn off your YouTube. But when I looked at it, and if you Google it, you can see that it's a Jeff. You're on. You're on with me. This girl. I don't know if he realizes you're with me. All right, we have another Jeff. So let's see. He's gonna see it here in a second that he's with me.
Hello.
You're here. You're with me live.
Spaceman, and when you see it online. There he is. Just maybe you didn't. All right, turn off your YouTube.
Okay, I got it.
Do you see me?
Realizes you're with me. All right.
So pull up your Zoom window.
Hello.
Yeah, you're with me. Do you see me?
I'm hearing like an echo.
You have to turn off the volume on YouTube and just use the volume on your Zoom.
Trying to get this to work here. I'm hearing a lot of feedback.
You're here with us. We can. I see you perfectly. I just don't think that you have your Zoom window. Your Zoom window is probably behind your YouTube window. You have to turn off the volume on YouTube and just use the volume. Turn off YouTube sound or mute the volume on YouTube and then minimize the YouTube window, and then you may see you and me. And I'm guessing he's from Milwaukee with the Brewers shirt on. If that says Brewers, it's hard to really see what it says. will get you here. Do you see yourself? Do you see us? Can I have a sip of that? It's okay.
Yeah, I can't hear you on the Zoom for some reason.
You can't hear me. Can you look at the camera? Because you're looking down. If you look up and look at your camera. Okay, he sees us. He just can't hear us. That must be it. Maybe you, no, I don't think his sound is muted. No, his sound's not muted. His microphone right there. I'm gonna mute him and then I'm gonna unmute. Watch this. Ask to unmute. See if that pops up on his screen. Sometimes if you do that, catch their attention. See if that helps him. His audio. Ask to unmute. All right, maybe what I will do is I'm going to put you back into the waiting room. I'm not kicking you out. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room and see if you can troubleshoot what's going on, and then we'll bring you on after Vina. Put you in waiting room, okay? Can't hear me. Bring in Vina. Start. Oh. Okay, she's connecting to audio. She's there, almost there.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Vina.
How are you?
Great.
Hi.
Great. How are
Lovely
you?
to I'm good, thank you.
Have you been
It's
on before?
no, I haven't.
I don't think so. Where are you from?
I'm in London.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for staying up so late with us.
Yeah, it's 2 in the morning. It's after
I
it's nearly
know it's got to be super late up there. But yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you staying up late and being with us. What do you have to share with us today?
There's 2 things, but one main thing that I wanted to share. So I've been a meditation teacher for about 22 years, I think it is. It could be slightly longer.
Oh, it's fabulous.
And I was going to an organization where they teach you to meditate in a particular way. And they teach you that God is in a particular place, that is a point of light, and that you go to the point of light by, first of all, imagining that you're leaving your body and you're going up through the roof, then up into the sky, through the clouds, leaving the earth realm. And then on the very outside of this whole universe, there's another world, and that's where this point of light is. And so we were being taken through this guided meditation. And when I saw the point of light, you're supposed to absorb God's love and his power. That's what they teach. But for me, I actually was drawn like a magnet into this point of light. And in a second, I merged with it. And I felt such bliss, bliss upon bliss upon bliss, just for a moment. And it was so beautiful. And I think I'm just echoing the experiences that many of your ND ears have when they say that there's nothing on this earth, there's no experience that you can have that actually touches that experience. And that 1 second has kept me on a spiritual path. I think it's about 28 years now, actually. So really, I think the message that I would like to share with everyone is to, because obviously your audience are very interested in having that experience, is to keep practicing in meditation, keep looking for and asking. And I think if you ask, I think things are answered. And I think that comes through in lots of your shows. So that's the main thing that I wanted to share, that experience, I believe, is available for everybody.
Have you been able to do it again?
Not to that extent, no. Actually, what's happened is I've had different kinds of experiences, which I would say is actually, in some ways, moving on from that. But that's a whole different story. That's a
Wow.
whole different.
Well, maybe you can tell us a little bit. But that's interesting. Moving on to that. So, what did you move on to?
Isn't that interesting? You should ask that question. I did want to share something else, actually.
That's okay.
Um,
Whatever you want to share.
yeah, can I leave that for maybe another time? If I
You
can
can
say,
you can leave that for whenever you come back.
thank you, Jeff. You do have the patience of a saint, I must say, and
Thank
it's
you.
a real virtue. The other experience that I wanted to share was one where, so I was in a very deep meditation, and I actually thought that this was a near death experience. So not exactly, but I had got up and gone into the garden, and I thought that I had actually probably died, and I didn't want to look back at my body because I was too frightened that I might actually be dead.
Wow.
And when I went into the garden, it was like a set, like you have on a film screen. It was a complete set. There were no sounds, and for a Saturday morning here in London, although it's quiet where I am, you normally hear some neighbours or the noise from the playing field if they're playing football or something like that, or you can hear birds. There's usually some kind of sound, even though it's very quiet where I live. And on this particular morning, there was absolutely nothing. So it looked like, when you look at a set that they show you maybe on TV, where there's no sound and nothing moving, it was exactly like that. And as I was looking, I felt as though my guides were saying to me, you see, it's just like a set. You come here to play. And because I did think that I've probably died, I've probably died, and this is a version of, another version of Earth that I've got to move into, or something like that, or a holding place until I move on. And I didn't want to go back and look, because I really believed that my body was still lying there.
Mm-hmm.
So it really did appear as though this is all put on. So, you've been asking that question about space isn't what we think it is. I also believe Earth isn't what we think it is. And it is something that's constructed for our being to actually come here and experience this Earth life. And then slowly, after some time, little sounds started to come in. Then the leaves on the tree started to shake again, and then I started to hear neighbors. It was an amazing experience.
It's amazing that you're speaking of that, because I recorded a podcast today with a man that's also an engineer, and he had an NDE, and we were talking about when you get down to the quarks and whatever the smallest levels you can, it's almost like a digital thing, just ones and zeros. And we were talking today that, like, maybe this whole reality is like a digital reality, that we're here. And so I feel like you're kind of echoing it, like we just came to this mocked up place, like a movie set, like you're saying, and we're just here to,
and I do believe, I actually believe that's true. As time is going on, I'm believing that more and more. And I do also believe that the outer world somehow is within us. It's in both places. So when they say as above, so below, I believe that that's true on one level, but I also believe that everything that's out there in the universe that seems to be on the outside is also on the inside. I can't explain how that actually works, but we carry all of that on the inside of us. And the bodies are kind of go between.
I'll say this today. I feel like I'm a change. Everybody talks about their higher self, but after speaking with this NDE guest today, and he was feeling like, being here, you're filtered. You don't have all your abilities, and when you go there, it's like as if, you have, maybe you have all your abilities. So I'm kind of thinking it, and I'm going to recoin the term, instead of higher self, your complete self. Because when you're coming here, you're not complete. You're, a filtered version of your complete self.
Yeah, I believe that that's true. And how I describe the creation story, how it appears to me, is that exactly what you've just said. In other realms, we're fully empowered. We have no idea about what sorrow is like, or pain, or any kind of calamity, or all the things that we experience here. And so when we come here, it's almost as though we're desperate to come, and we want to be signed up for this life. And they say, well, no, it's going to be hard, you're going to have emotions. And we say, yeah, no, it's fine, please just sign me up, just let me get on with it. And because we've got absolutely no idea, we've got no conception about how bad it can be. And they said, well, you won't have your memories, and it will be a challenge. And we'll say, come on, just sign me up already, just let's get on with it.
Yeah.
So we come, and obviously then we do forget. And and I think there's a part of us that enjoys, sometimes the drama and the suffering, and how terrible things are, woe is me kind of thing. But then I believe that we do take lifetime after lifetime. And then when we get really, really forgetful, when we've completely moved away from that, as you say, that completely powerful self, then I think it does get to the point where at some point, our soul calls out, that inner being calls out to say, hang on a minute, what else is going on here? And that's when we start the search. That's when we go down the road of spirituality and look for answers that may not have been provided through religion, or through other means, other inquiries.
Do you believe that it's boring on the other side?
No, I don't think it's boring. But what I think is, like, if you're just happy all the time, so if you're playing and having fun and enjoying things, and you're doing that all the time, you've got no comparison. So in the end, you don't really understand that you're having a great time, and that you're in bliss, and that you're in happiness, because it's just constant. So I believe the reason that we come here is to play and have both, so that you're experiencing happiness and joy and wonderful things and love and all the great things that there are in life, as well as to experience the misery and the sorrow and the pain and the suffering, so that we've got something to compare. And then ultimately we're going to decide, actually, we think the light is better. We want to go towards the light, because it's a bit too painful and a bit too harsh to be in the hellish world.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, Vina, for coming, and I'll be waiting for you to come back and tell us about the beyond world next time. Thank you for
Okay, I'll do that.
thank you for
Okay.
coming and sharing with us. It was a pleasure meeting with you, and thanks again for staying up so late with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being with you, Jeff. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Jeff is still there, so let's see if we can get Jeff in, and maybe it'll work. He got it all sorted out this time. He's there. Asked to unmute. Jeff, are you there?
Yes.
All right, we got it working. Fantastic. Are you in Milwaukee?
No, I'm in Tacoma, Washington.
Wow, okay. I just thought I was just taking a guess, since you had that Brewer shirt on, that you're a Milwaukee resident.
No, just a baseball fan.
Just a baseball fan. Well, what do you have to share with us today?
Well, I have a story, an experience I experienced in 2014.
Okay.
I've been hesitant all these years. I also fought cancer for a few years, so I was out of commission. Couldn't get the story out there like I'd like to. But I was. I'm going to give you guys a brief version of the story, because it takes me about 20 minutes to tell it, and I'm not trying to take up all your airtime.
All right.
Basically, in 2014, I got really depressed, and I had a supernatural experience when I called out to God. I felt a presence with me, and I looked out my my basement window at the time, and I saw an orb UFO go up into the clouds. And I didn't put two and two together. I didn't really think, anything of it. I thought maybe that was a plane I saw up in the sky. Maybe I was mistaken. But whatever was there in the room with me whenever I had this supernatural experience, I closed my eyes and my whole life flashed before me. And I came out of that with a new understanding about life itself. And it was almost like I was looking through life through a new filter. And for 3 days there, I wrote a book. And on day 3, I went to wake up my wife. And I had a thought about camping. And we don't really camp because I was in the army for so many years. Camping wasn't really an enjoyable recreational activity that I like to do, since I went out to the field all the time.
Right.
And so that wasn't really something we did. But I woke her up and she said that she had a dream about camping. So I thought that, my thought and her dream, that was some kind of synchronicity. So I said, let's go camping. And she agreed. And we took my son and my grandson out towards Mount Rainier in the pursuit of finding a camp spot. We went all the way up to the mountain, stopped at every camp spot along the way. They were all full. They had no vacancies. We got up to the mountain, got into the national park, and there wasn't any vacancies up there either. We bought a ticket at a kiosk. That's how you get a camp spot up there. And we drove around and couldn't find an open camp spot. And we were about to leave, and we saw this park ranger. And so I pulled over to the side and I talked to the park ranger, and I said, hey, look, is there any camp spots anywhere around here? And he basically said everything was booked up for the weekend.
Mhm.
So we were kind of out of luck. And so I said to him, hey, look, I need to get a refund for this ticket that I got, because I bought it at the kiosk. And he showed me this, he showed me the shed to go to get the refund process. So I went there, got the refund process. So I was talking to a couple of the park rangers, and one of the guys, he just before I was about to leave, he said, hey, look, we got some primitive camp spots. They're right outside the park. They're first come, first serve, but they're free. And so I looked on the map, seeing where it was, asked him if I could take the map. He gave it to me, and then we drove out towards these primitive camp spots.
Can I stop you for one moment? I'm going to tell you
Yes.
something that is really freaky. I'm going to stop you here for one moment. I don't know if I've dreamed you being on my podcast or not, but I'm going to tell you the rest of your story, and we'll see if this is true. You went to the primitive campsite. You and your wife were sleeping in your tent. Something freaky came up in the tent. You got out with your gun or something and looked around and never found it.
No, that's not the story.
That's not it. All right. Then
Okay,
I must have had another story that was similar to that. But it was camping, and there was a note, and maybe it was last Saturday. Maybe people can chime in. But I could have sworn I just had someone say that the exact same thing. They went to the camping. They had no place to go. Then they had to go to a primitive campsite nearby. I am so sorry I cut you off.
Oh,
Tell
no
us-
problem.
Keep going.
Okay, so we got to the primitive campsite. We were the only ones there. We set up shop, set up our tent, got a grill, going, got a fire going, went out it was right next to the river, to the Nisqually River. It comes off the mountain. And so we were playing in the water, fishing, the rest of the day.
Mhm.
And then nighttime came. Kids went to sleep first. About 10 o'clock came. Me and my wife decided to lay down. We went and laid down, and in our tent, you could see through the mosquito netting that was above you. And so you could see the night sky and the trees and so forth. And as we were looking up, this brilliant white orb goes right over the top of us, and it's weaving left and right, right over the tree line. And so it's silent. And so I look at my wife, and she looks at me. She tells me I'm going to sleep. She's not really into the paranormal. And so I put my shoes on. I try to get out the tent as quickly as I can. By the time I get out the tent, the sphere is gone.
Okay.
And so I sit out there for a few minutes, maybe 30 or 40 minutes, waiting for something else to happen. Nothing really happened. So I went and laid down. I went to sleep. I don't know how long I was sleeping, but my wife wakes me up somewhere maybe 20, 30 minutes after I went to sleep. And she tells me she hears voices behind the tent. And so I stand up and I look through the mosquito netting and I don't hear anything or see any flashlights. And I say, are you sure you heard somebody? You know, and by this time my son's up and he's like, Dad, yeah, I heard him too. And so everybody is spooked out. And so we decide to go to the car to sleep out the rest of the night. So we all get into the car. Everybody falls asleep. I look at the clock and it's midnight. I fall asleep. As soon as I fall asleep, I'm propelled into the most vivid vision or dream, I guess you should call it, that I've ever had in my entire life. I'm in front of this being. I'm in some sort of like praying position. And there's this being that's in front of me. And it's either standing or sitting. I really can't tell. I try to look up towards the being to see who's in front of me, and something restrains me. And I ask the being, who are you? And this being communicates with me telepathically and tells me the word God, and I utter the word God. And so I asked the being, why have you brought me here? I close my eyes and it propels me into this vision where I see this horrific war scene. I see a woman and two children and they're huddled in this corner of this kitchen. And then the vision spans out a little bit and I could see there's a hole in the roof of the building and I'm still seeing the woman down there and she looks terrified. I look over to the left and I could see these tanks rolling up on this house. You know, this house is a part of like a neighborhood. So it's rolling up on this neighborhood and they got these soldiers that are beside the tank and they're walking and they have rifles and they have gas masks. And then it spans out a little bit further and I could see, you know, the region and there's bombs going off everywhere, you know, like lightning strikes. And then it goes all the way up and I could see the globe and the whole globe is just lighting off like a firework. You could see blasts going off everywhere in every direction. And I come out of that dream or the vision that it showed me and I'm crying. And then it immediately puts me back into another vision. My eyes close and I could see these orb UFOs coming off the planet. And the impression that I got was that these beings are going to save some people in the end. Okay, so I felt a little bit better about it. And I asked it, well, I don't understand. Why have you brought me here? I ask it once again. This time it propels me into a vision of myself. In the vision, I was very skinny and the people that actually know me, I was like 280 pounds a couple of years ago. I've recently lost a lot of weight. I've lost over 100 pounds. And so basically I'm skinny now, like the vision. But it showed me and I was very skinny and I got out of a car and I realized that I'm in the Temple Mount sector of Jerusalem, the old Jerusalem. And I get out of a car and there's two men and they're dressed in black suits, head to toe with sunglasses on. They stay at the car. They look like they're like bodyguards or something like that. I start walking down a path and then I get to a great wall and I follow this wall around and it comes to a green door. I go up to the green door and I knock 3 times. Somebody answers, a man dressed in religious garb from head to toe in black. He has a black beard. He answers the door. I raise up my left hand, and in my left hand is an olive tree branch. I say to the man, I come in peace, may I enter? He says, yes, we have been awaiting you, and he allows space for me to enter through. He leads me to the Dome of the Rock. He takes me inside the building. He takes me to the basement of the Dome of the Rock. I believe they call it the Well of Souls. He shows me the bedrock in a certain area of it. It's covered by a metal covering. He opens it up. He gestures down for me to inspect it. There's a blackened area. As soon as my right hand touches it, the whole vision goes white and I'm back in front of the being. I asked it, I don't understand. This time it had confused me because it showed a picture of my, showed me like a future vision of myself. And so I asked it, I don't understand. Who am I? The being reaches down with his massive hands and shows me this piece of glass. And on this piece of glass is a hologram. The hologram is a headshot of Jesus Christ with the crown of thorns. I shake my head at the being. I tell it I don't understand. I wasn't religious at the time when this experience happened. So I really didn't understand what it was telling me. I shake my head at it, and the vision turns into a mirror, and I could see my own reflection. I tell the being I don't understand once more, and the entire vision with the being and all that goes white into a white light. And I wake up, and it is 4 a.m. I look out my car window, and I see the same UFO that I seen the night before. It went up to the top of Mount Rainier. It hovered there for a second. I went to go wake up my wife to show her that the UFO had returned, and it shot up in the air like a bullet out of a gun before I could wake her up. It went straight into space. That's a story I'd like to get out there.
I mean,
that's my experience.
Did you happen to write to me and send me this before coming today?
I could have. I've been trying to get somebody to interview me. I'd like to get the story out there any way possible.
People write to me all the time, and either wanting to be on the show or just sharing their experiences. And I'm not kidding. I mean, I couldn't remember exactly, but I have just heard half of your story. I either read it or I heard it within a week, all the way up to you went to the car and then you and the whole family got scared and went to the car or truck and went to sleep in the car. That's as far as I've got it. And it was like freaky for me hearing you tell that story, because I'm like, I just heard this story like a week ago. And either I read it or I don't know how I heard this story within like a week, but I don't know. I mean, but when you said it was 2 nights, now the second night, were you back into your tent, or did the second night you were sleeping in your car again?
No, it was only 1 night of camping. The experience, so from the first time I saw the orb UFO, it was like 3 days. So there was a 3-day bubble there where I was in a paranormal paradox. I was one with nature. I had all these ideas coming out of me about, unjust systems and so forth. It was really a crazy experience. I wrote a book. The book isn't in print. I don't plan to put it in print. Mm-hmm. It's like an introductory to conspiracy theories is what it really came out to.
Now, when you went to the car, it was midnight, you said, right?
Yes.
And then when it was all over, it was 4 a.m.
Yes.
So are you saying there was a 4-hour time lapse or of missing time, or what was the time that you've, started having these visions? Do you know what time that all happened?
It was within that 4-hour bubble.
Wow. I don't know. Maybe you could have been, some people talk about that you get abducted, just your consciousness, not your body. They only need your consciousness to abduct you. Leave your body there.
I mean, that's what I tend to believe. It's some sort of technology that this species has. They're able to just like interface with a sleeping person, and that's what the abduction is. It's not a physical abduction.
I don't know how long you've been with me. One of my oldest UFO, probably my very first UFO guest about 2 years ago, he said they took they cloned his body, and I don't know where it is, on a space station far, far away, and they cloned his body, and then they took his consciousness and brought him to his body wherever it was, on some spaceship or space, and then and the people there were amazed to see the actual real consciousness that body belonged to. And he said that he met someone else there that was going through the same thing that he had, and he was from South Africa, and since he's been back, he's been trying to find that guy from South Africa. So, I mean, maybe you had a UFO. Maybe they saw you a couple nights before and tracked you down a couple nights, 3 nights later. And, I don't know what they're doing. Obviously, I guess I don't think it was anything, you didn't experience pain or, maybe they were just testing the limits of your consciousness or your mind.
Yeah, it's I've had 8 years to think about it. It was a life-changing event that happened. You can't walk away from these events without being changed forever. I mean, you get the impression that we're not alone. I mean, that you get not physical, but you get actual proof, from your experience, and
Did you have any markings on your body?
no, I don't. I've like researched a lot of the ancient texts, trying to figure out, why they showed me Jesus. What were they explaining to me? Were they saying they're the gods of the Bible? I mean, that's kind of where I kind of like came to my conclusions that perhaps that's what the Bible is a series of interactions with these beings.
You haven't had any experiences since then?
I've had one separate experience. It involves some drug use. So I there's that.
Right. Well, I appreciate
not hard drugs, marijuana, but
right. Well,
it caused an interaction.
Whenever you introduce another variable that can, give people reason to say, well, you're just making it up, or you are seeing things. You know what I mean? It makes it difficult when you add something like that to the experience.
Yeah, it does. That's why I don't really bring it up so much. As an example, I did have a 15-minute interaction with 3 glowing beings. These beings glowed like a golden hue. And they looked like what Aleister Crowley, I'm not sure if are familiar with him, but he had an entity he was talking to in the spirit world with his rituals. And he called this being Lamb, and he drew a picture of Lamb. And that's exactly what these beings look like, just like a lamb.
Since you were in the Army, do you have any night vision goggles?
No, I don't.
I had a guest on one time, and I'd like to get a pair. He hooks them up to an iPad somehow, and to me, I just call it UFO fishing. He just points them at the sky and looks for stuff flying around, and he was showing me some stuff, and it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty cool to have. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us. I appreciate you, and I'm glad you got it sorted out. And stop by again and share with us some more if you got some more stuff. I've got to run to the next person.
All right. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your weekend. Cheers.
Yep.
All right. So that was pretty crazy. Pretty crazy for me. I don't know how I can explain it, but I felt like I've heard that story before. I mean, I can't place it. Maybe he wrote to me. Maybe I dreamed it. I'm not sure. But we're gonna get Penny here, and this is like Britain. This is England night tonight. This is our 3rd guest from England. Isn't that amazing? I guess I'm getting more popular in England, so that's awesome. And they have to stay up so late for them, so I really appreciate them. I mean, it's like probably 2 a.m. for them. Let's see what's going on with her camera. All right, so while we're waiting for her, if you want to get in, down below in the description is the Zoom room ID and Zoom password. So you just go to Zoom, you click join a meeting, then it'll ask you for the room ID, you put that in, then it'll ask you for the password, and here you are. Also is a link to the Discord, and Discord is kind of like Facebook, but it's different. It's free. You get a free Discord account, and then you can get into my personal rooms. They're like chat rooms, but you can post, you can video chat, you can voice chat, you can post pictures, you can post whatever. And so you use that link. And I hear noise over there in Penny's. Maybe you're right, John. And maybe I think maybe Penny doesn't know she's on. Maybe she's grabbing a cup of tea and doesn't realize that she's here. Although it says that she's talking, but maybe that's still background noise. And John's saying maybe I've gotten abducted. I don't know. You know, I've told you guys on before that my longtime listeners that I have dreams of people I've never met, places I've sometimes wake up and realize I've thought I've never been. I realize those were just dreams. I've never been there. And Madiak's in Sweden. Wow, he's still up with us too. Thank you, Madiak. And
Can you hear me?
I can hear
Can you
you.
hear me?
Yes, I can. I just can't see you.
No, I'm here.
It shows me that your camera's not on. And I'm clicking ask to start video. Do you see me with your Zoom? Anyways, while she's getting set up, so Discord is there. Below that is the JeffMara NDE clips. Oh, we almost got her. We got her almost visually. And the NDE clips is a separate video that I have, a separate channel, and it just shows the NDEs only, the guests speaking about that. So it's like, they're usually from like, you know, 1 to 5, maybe like 5 to 15 minutes, and it just says their NDE, and there's no intro. Okay, I hear you, and it says, do you have your camera covered?
You unmuted me.
Yeah, do you have your camera?
I can see you, but I can't see me.
I can't see you either.
I don't know what to
is your camera covered?
press at the bottom. Oh.
There you are. Oh, there you were. You were there for a moment. Coming back. So your camera, Zoom is hooked to your camera, but it's like as if your camera is blocked or covered, or maybe it's kind of switched off or something. You had it on for like a second because I saw you for a second. Anyways, the NDE clips is there. If you want to, there you are.
No.
Got you. Don't touch anything.
No.
You're there. Don't touch your computer.
Oh. Where?
Maybe.
Oh.
I think your internet's a little on the laggy side, but we have you. You're there, but frozen.
No, it's not.
Do you see yourself? While she's seeing if she can fix that. So underneath the NDE clips.
Oh.
Is your I think you're having internet.
Oh.
You're there. You're just.
I can see you on my.
You're just frozen. You know, I wonder what would work better is sometimes, and I don't know if you even can hear this, but it would be great since you're up if you try to call back or come back through your phone.
I can see myself.
Because a lot of times phones, since I do these almost every day and I have to speak to guests every day, sometimes their phone works way better than their internet. It's like when the phone's going through the cell tower, it just has a better connection than through the internet. So anyways, while we're trying to get her in, so that channel is there. If you love NDEs and you don't have an hour to invest, you just want to see the NDE for 5 to 15 minutes, JeffMara NDE clips. If you go below, that's where it is. And if you like that, please subscribe and check out the videos. Below that, I believe, is a link to the JeffMara podcast Facebook page. And if you want to help, sometimes I post news stories there besides the videos there. So there's a little extra there. And then lastly is my personal Facebook profile. And you'll see that my real last name is Reynolds. Mara is my wife. And you're welcome to friend me. I'm accepting friends until I hit the limit of 5,000. So Tasty Bite. Thank you so much for that super thanks. I really appreciate it. Penny, what I'm going to do is I'm not kicking you out. I'm doing like everybody I do to other people. I'm putting you back into the waiting room and I'm bringing in Michael. And we're going to see what's up with Michael. And hopefully we can get Penny on. And if Penny, hopefully she heard what I was saying. Maybe she can try with her phone. Penny, what I'm going to do is I'm not kicking you out. Michael, can you hear me? Awesome. Where are you from, bud?
Oh, I'm in Savannah. Let me go to turn down the volume on the, yeah,
Savannah, Georgia?
Savannah, Georgia. I'm actually
Nice.
from Texas. Spent most of my life in Miami, Florida.
What part of Texas are you from?
Corpus Christi. I was
Ah,
born in the body of Christ.
there you go. Yeah, I'm in San Antonio, a couple hours away.
Oh yeah?
Uh-huh.
My grandmother used to live in San Antonio.
We've been thinking about going down. Have you been there recently? They have the Lex there, that old World War II ship.
Oh no, I haven't. No.
Ah,
I was in Texas and uh what's that the one where the city where they play all the music. Where's that place?
Austin.
Austin. Yeah, I was in Austin about 3 years ago.
Oh, great. Great.
My
So,
last time there.
what do you have to share with us this evening?
Oh, I'm kind of a fan of your show. I watch it, every few days when you have something new come up.
Thank you.
And you do, I don't know, you do a kind of all kinds of things, spiritual and paranormal, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of what you do is the near-death experience kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
I never had a near-death experience. I've had like about 5 or 10 STEs, whatever they call them, spiritually transformative experiences. But what I wanted to talk about, and is I was listening to another show of this lady who was an ET contactee,
Mm-hmm.
and she was being interviewed by somebody else, and she was talking about doing one-on-one with an ET person.
What is her name? I wonder if she's been
Oh,
my
I don't
guest.
remember.
Oh.
She might have been. She might have been one of your guests. She's from Korea. Does that make sense?
No. I've
That's the
had a
only thing
woman
I
from
know about
China,
her.
maybe. Anyways.
But anyway, she was talking to the ET, and the ET said, she was saying, "Oh, you're doing work on the inside and this and that." Something kind of a trivial conversation, and the ET said to her, "Yes, we're on the inside out team." And then as soon as I heard that, I went click, because like I'm familiar with the ETs, and I've been on craft, a couple of different craft, a couple of different species of ETs, and I'm big friends with the Sasquatch people. And I realized right then that that's what's going on. What's going on is there is um, like an agenda or a plan to transform humanity from the inside out. And then I started thinking, well, I'm also friends with the Sasquatch people. I've been friends with them since 2012, and they don't talk to people a lot. But they work with people on the inside out. And then there's the ETs who work with people on the inside out. And then I'm thinking, oh, so that's two teams that are doing the same kind of thing. And then I started thinking, well, there's the near-death experience, which is a huge transformative experience.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who are doing that are like angels and gods and whoever's up there when they go to do their interactions. They're on an inside-out team, because this whole near-death experience thing is happening kind of congruent with the ETs and now the Sasquatch people. Then there's the out-of-body people. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of schools for out-of-body. And then this is an inside-out kind of a thing. And then there's who else? Oh, the remote viewers. Remote viewers just started off since the 70s and 80s, but now there's like classes. You can take classes in it. There's businesses. There's billions of dollars involved with the remote viewing. But that's an inside out, because it's remote viewing isn't remote, and it's not viewing. It's a feeling inside, and then you interpret the feeling inside. So I just was excited to talk about that because you're a part of the Inside Out team. You
Wow.
you're part of the Inside Out team because and I'm thinking, well, all the people who are talking about what's going on the spiritual level. So there's a lot of podcasts on near-death experience, and there's a lot of podcasts on remote viewing and spiritual transformative stuff and paranormal. And then there's the channelers. Now, channelers, you would think that that's the outside in. But in reality, you're connecting to some part of yourself or some higher self or something that's still an inside out thing. And then all this information is flowing into humanity. So I just think that's really profound, and that's why you don't see the ETs coming with big signs saying we're here to save you, or or get your act together.
Mm.
They do it one on one, or with small groups, or with little groups of children, but it's under the radar. And the same thing with the near death experiences, one on one. Everybody's a different experience, but there's a lot of overlap in the near death experience. Like it's transformative. They're deeper connection to God and deeper connection to nature, more compassion, all this kind of stuff that happens is transformative. So I don't know how many people think like that, but when you start putting it together, then there's all the healers that people do, healers, quantum hypnosis, healing.
QHHT.
Yeah, QHHT. Well, what is that? That's you're just putting people into some kind of a trance, and then they start doing this stuff. And then there's all the people who are doing shadow work and inner child work. That's kind of like this personal thing, but it opens up a whole new perspective for the people who do it on a really rich level. And then keep going. I want to add to the Inside Out team.
I was going to say, I feel like you hit it right on the head of the nail, that all healing comes from the inside out.
Yeah. And anybody who does Reiki or something, they just vibrate you a little bit, so you do it. But then there's you're seeing all the people who are doing ayahuasca and magic mushrooms and LSD and all that kind of. Even though LSD is kind of controversial, but it's the plant medicine and they're actually people interacting with beings, but they're having these transformative and interconnected experiences, mind expanding, soul affirming experiences. So I'm just trying to put it together, because we get on the outside, from the outside in, what do we get? War and bad stories about health and bad stuff about the economy, and it's an endless drone of bad stuff coming from the outside in.
Yeah.
And you think, well, where's the angels? Where's God? Where's the ET supposed to help us out? And then it dawned on me that they're on the Inside Out team. They're not even trying to face this stuff that's going on out here in the political, economic realm. They're just working on the people, waking them up. One at a time, little groups at a time.
Someone reached out to me recently and telling me about how I should run this podcast better as a business, and about putting merch out there and stuff. And I'm not involved with that, but at least not right now. But it would make a great T-shirt that just says the Inside Out. I'm on the Inside Out team, or the Inside Out team. Like a great slogan.
I mean, I run like a group for healing, and I have my own healing modality. So I'm not kind of up on all this. I kind of like see who's got something better and who's got stuff I can learn. And so I'm kind of up on all that stuff. And yeah, so that's really going on. All the people who are doing the life coaching, hear people talk about life coaching, and they're on the inside out team.
Yeah.
We're changing the world from the inside out. And that's why you don't see anything happen. You see individual people having transformative experiences, and they don't care about the government. They don't care about what the big pharma is doing. They don't care about any of that stuff. They're not in that realm anymore.
Yeah, that's great. All right, but I need to run to the next guest, Michael, but maybe you can come back next week and tell us about how you have been in contact with Bigfoot. I think that would
Oh
be a
yeah,
good, that would be a good
yeah.
story. So maybe we'll see.
It's a great story,
Yeah,
and it's
maybe.
also they're real big on the inside out thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get in touch, keep in touch, and they had me talk to a rock for 3 hours. First
Wow.
thing off the bat. So that's my little tidbit out there.
All
The
right.
Sasquatch had me talk to a rock for 3 hours.
That is a teaser for next week.
The teaser.
There you go.
Yeah.
Michael, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Thanks, bud. Cheers. All right, let's see if we can get Penny back on and see if we can get her hopefully her internet is working better this time. It was like laggy. It was like she was locked up. But that's interesting. Imagine that if you had contact with Bigfoot and Bigfoot said, "This is your lesson. You're going to stare at a rock." Penny, are you there? She's there. Can you hear us, Penny? Not us, me. Can you hear me, Penny? Penny's internet. I have a feeling that it's just really slow. It's probably 2 in the morning there, so everybody shouldn't be eating up the bandwidth.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can
Can you
hear you
hear
now.
me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? Can you hear us? Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. Now, a lot of you, now you can put a name with a face. Oh, she's gone. What happened to her? She's gone. Anyways, Penny has been so kind to make me these cards, and she sent them to me. And we're using her own cards, so maybe she's getting a laugh out of that she has been so kind to make us these cards and send us to them to help me when I'm guess. Like when I say, "I can see you, but I can't hear you." I don't know if she made me one that's, oh, here we go. I was going to say.
Can you hear me?
Now I can. I was going to flash your sign. Your mic is muted. Perfect timing for your sign. But it's not muted anymore. Can you hear me?
Oh, I haven't gone.
Yeah, it's working. Can you hear me? Hello? Oh, I did? Well, it's because
Yeah.
it's
Oh
you
my God.
Zoom reverses it. So when I put it like this, see it's backward, then it'll play it right. Watch when I put it in my.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm showing my wife about how I don't have my Zoom. I have my Zoom where it records me.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Yes. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I hear you.
Don't understand.
I think, Penny, that your internet is really slow. That you have a really slow or really bad connection. I don't know if you're listening to this, but I wish you could try getting in from your phone, because I have a good hunch that your phone would work a lot better than your internet. Anyways, I'm going to brag on Penny. While we're waiting on Penny, Penny made me these wonderful cards to talk to the audience. And
now I can see myself on my iPad, but not on my laptop.
Yeah, and she put the nice little artwork, and so when we can't hear the guests, she was so kind of her to do that and send this to her. And she sent us one of her Christmas cards, and they're called 10 bites. And she makes like greeting cards on these like 10 cases.
I can see the
And
signs,
she's
Jeff.
very talented woman, very talented artist. And so if you're looking for special greeting cards or invitations, then you should check out her Etsy store. And I don't know what it's called. I wish I should have it here, but maybe if you look up Penny Sutton, you can find it. Anyways, Penny, I'm going to move on to the next person. I'm not kicking you out. I'm just putting you on back into the waiting room. Maybe you can try getting on with your phone while I'm with the next guest, and maybe we'll see you soon. Put in the waiting room, and we'll bring on John. We'll see. Which John is this? Is it, I saw John Scott in the chat. Is it John Scott or a different John? Because no, it is a different John. I've seen this John before. John, how are you?
Hi, pretty good.
Yeah, nice to see you again.
Oh yeah.
I
Thank
recognize you. I'm trying to think. Where are you at? Is it San Diego?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. All right, I was off. Oh, Duluth or St. Paul? Neither, I guess.
Just a random town.
A random town. All right.
It's a random, unlivable town.
Unlivable. Is it cold there? Because it looks like you have a jacket on.
Yeah, it gets a little chilly. It gets like real hot and then it cools down. Oh no, I just have a sweatshirt. Just,
Okay. Well, what do you got to share with us this week?
Just sort of a continuation of what I talked about last time.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm interested in I thought about it. I'm sort of interested in defining and looking at like what is a serious, kind of like a meaningful spiritual inquiry, I guess.
Okay.
And one thing I think a lot of people are stuck in like, or they have been, this has gone on for centuries, like people have been stuck in a national identity.
Yes.
And that has to shift into more of a universal identity.
I agree.
But I think I look at other countries, like other parts of the world, where there is more of a universal quality, it seems. And I guess I rewatched what I said last time. I just continuing it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, see, we get stuck. It's relatively new. It's like this hasn't been going on that long, like a national identity. Like it's gone on for, from what I've heard, just the past centuries, like 3 or 4 centuries, or I don't know. But I think that sometimes the infrastructure is playing into a national identity, and so I guess I'm a little bit of a negative. I'm not the most optimistic, or I'm not the most positive person, but
Mm-hmm.
I think a spiritual inquiry may have some kind of a definitely involve moving out of a national identity and seeing well, I've been, let's see.
Well, it's interesting that you said that I think you just said that you're kind of negative. And I was doing some research on one of my upcoming guests, and she said that energy is neutral. And basically, however you want to, do you want to be created into negative energy or positive energy? What do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, what I know is, okay, there's something about negating. So you come to what love is when you negate everything that it's not. So sometimes the highest form of love, which probably is a spiritual quality as well. It's sort of a negating thing. So I think, see, we're in this sort of national identity where we're getting there by faith in a way. But all that has to be erased, I think, to kind of to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at like places like, I've been to China, and I did notice much more of a universal quality, but a lot of it is, I guarantee a lot of it starts with the infrastructure. It's a lot, you can definitely walk around and you can kind of relax, and you can see a lot of developments happening. And in that sense of leisure, things kind of can unfold a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
If reincarnation is real, then we have all maybe have been many nationalities. And so maybe we shouldn't be hung up on nationalities. It's just the part we're playing this time.
Yeah. See, I was going to say that's why your podcast is so good, because, well, in a way though, you might be stuck somewhere in a division of the world where it just doesn't have that universal quality, and then you would feel blocked in a way from kind of having a spiritual life, kind of having that kind of, I believe it's when things kind of unfold but I think you know, you need to have a little bit of a sense of security and like, I don't know. I think we can all benefit if we feel like this whole, no, you know, it's good because, yeah, whatever division of the world, you can still see that this whole time period is very insubstantial. Because so much has to change. A lot has to change. And then maybe seeing that is part of the inquiry.
So do you believe in UFOs and ETs?
Well, no, I guess, I don't know. I don't think about those things. I
was going to say, if you did, then it would maybe unify us all into just being human and not worry about nationalities. If we know that there are other non-human intelligences roaming around, then we wouldn't be so concerned about our nationality. Would be concerned about just our species.
Yeah, I think something has to happen where just things have to feel very universal. As simple as going out and just taking a good walk, and but things have to be flowing in a certain way, and the society has to be building for that kind of thing. It's happening in some parts of the world, in other parts it's not happening. So it's like there's this sense of like the world is not all together or something in this kind of.
Well, I never thought about that. Maybe some countries are maybe some countries are further along their spiritual evolution than others. You know, maybe
because in some places they're not. People are just living a very simple life. They're not hung up on religion or politics very much.
Right.
So I feel here we're in this sort of like interim or something. And I don't know how, but I have some other it's about kind of stepping out of knowledge as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all part of the intellect. So a lot of it is like stepping out of knowledge, out of time and out of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But it may not see it, it may not happen in our lives as sort of we may not have that universal experience in our like life. And so I feel it's disappointing,
Mm-hmm.
but that's why your videos are good, because they can help people process the other side,
Yeah. Well,
which is, you know,
I try to put out content that, if you may or may not notice, I don't give my opinion on it. I let you guys make up your own opinion. I think it's the best way to let the audience, not know. Who cares what I think? It only matters what you think. So I try to put that out there and let you guys make up your own minds if what it means to you.
yeah.
So, all right, John. Well, I'm going to run on to the next person. I've got two people waiting, and I'm already into overtime.
All right.
But thanks for coming and visit with us, and come back and share some more with us.
All right. Sounds good.
Have a great weekend.
Okay. See ya.
Cheers. All right, so let's see if we can get Penny in again, and see what if her internet's going to work. I hear her. I see her. Can you hear and see us? I think that she just has really laggy internet. That's going to be my analysis of what's going on, and from my experience of doing podcasts with so many guests. Unfortunately, every now and then a guest will have like laggy internet like this, and it's just choppy. Can you hear us, Penny? Can you hear me, Penny? And maybe she should call her internet provider in England and say, hey, you need to give me faster service. And Tanya, thank you so much for that super thanks. I really appreciate that. It says, thanks Jeff and Mara for the show tonight. Also, we want @John Scott to call in tonight and give an analysis of the other Jeff experience tonight. It might be pretty interesting, that, what he thinks about that freaky experience. Penny, can you hear me? I barely hear you.
I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Are we in real time? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Are we on real time together now?
I can hear you. Oh.
All right. At least we got your voice.
Can you hear me?
Yes. I don't think we're in real time.
I can hear you. I can hear you and I can see you.
I see you frozen.
I've got some other guy's voice in my head.
You're frozen, and I think we have a delay on the audio. And now, not hearing me. All right, I'm not kicking you out again, Penny. I'm just gonna put you back into the waiting room, and I'm gonna bring in Cricket Ovation 2. Sounds like a telephone, Cricket Ovation 2. And see what's up with Cricket. I'm sure that's not the person's name. Mika is down on the floor next to me. Come here, Mika. Okay, maybe we'll show. And John Scott, if you're still there, maybe you can give me an analysis of what's going on. All right, and we've got Tina. Tina,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi.
How are you, Tina? Now, Tina wrote to me the other day and said she had a third NDE, I think a couple nights ago. She has had 2 of them, and she just had another one. And I said, well, maybe you can come back on Saturday and share it. So am I correct about that?
Well, yeah, I'm kind of like beyond calling them near-death experiences because they just keep happening. So now I'm more like I get to go home for a home visit, and then I come back to this.
So it's just a
to this
field trip
world.
home.
Yeah,
So
that's kind of how.
How did it happen this time?
Okay, so I told you I met a Bigfoot in the forest.
Right. Wasn't that when you crashed your bike or something?
Yeah, yeah. And I kept thinking, this Bigfoot is talking to me. And I was having a really hard time with it, honestly, and kind of being a brat and ungrateful because it was like, come on, a Bigfoot, really? But the things it was telling me is like stuff that's so way over my head, advanced in wisdom, that finally I posted about it in a Bigfoot group to see what other people would say, and they said that this happens to other people. Apparently they get contacted by a Bigfoot, and the Bigfoot is like a master. It's like a Christ master type of Bigfoot, and it's teaching them stuff.
No, I don't. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but real quick, were you just here 10 or 15, 20 minutes ago with Michael, who said that he had a Bigfoot experience and the guy told him to look at a rock for 3 hours? Were you here for that?
No, I've been on the phone with my son, who just got home. He's in the Marines. I've been on the phone and just barely called.
Okay, you'll have to go back and watch that after this is, because he's kind of you're saying kind of what he just said 30 minutes ago. That's amazing.
Well, and that's weird because I don't know what his dream was about the rock, but this Bigfoot is coming to me in dreams, and I had a dream about a rock, about being a rock. And my experience, my takeaway from my lifetime as a rock was just this sense of allowing everything to be as it is without my interference or judgment or manipulation. Just let everything and everyone be just as they are without judging them. And so this Bigfoot, I kept feeling like every time I went to the woods, I would feel him talking to me and telling me stuff. But yeah, he started coming in my dreams. He actually came in my dreams last night, and the things he tells me are just strange. Like last night, in the dream, he was at a body of water. It was like 2 bodies of water, and all the land was stripped out around it, and there was no vegetation around the water. And he walked down into one of these like reservoirs or whatever of water, and he had a bowel movement in there, and he explained that this is how they understand to fertilize the pond to reestablish plant life there. And that they were taught this by Jesus Christ. When they accepted Jesus Christ as a master, they were taught this, and that they could wash themselves and keep clean if they would do their bowel movements like this. And apparently there's a scripture that talks about that Jesus taking the people who accept him, he takes them out of the dung and the dust, and it's like leaving the animal kingdom, basically, where dung is like animal poop. And they all have areas where they go poop. Anyways, so he tells me stuff like this that's just like, wow, interesting. And I'm like, okay. But he came and got me after I had gone to sleep, and he and I were levitated in front of a very large like TV screen looking thing, and all the people in there were like my spirit clan. And this is like my true family. And I saw their faces, and there was so much love, just like in the NDE. It was like that. But it didn't, I don't know where I was. I don't know if I was in heaven or if I was like astral traveling or an out of body experience, but I could see the Bigfoot that I saw was little, and he's young, and I could see him floating there next to me. So I don't know if he brought me there, but I felt like he did.
Do you think it's possible that when you had the bike crash and you saw Bigfoot, that Bigfoot made you crash on purpose so you would recognize him?
No, I crashed like quite a while before I saw him, but he did tell me why I kept crashing, because I kept crashing my bike. I had so many issues going on with my health. I had right after my last NDE, like a week later, I got hypnotherapy, and like the very next day woke up with this huge, we call it a spider bite from brown recluse on my leg. And it turned into a flesh-eating infection. And at the same time, I went to this really horrible dentist, and every single filling that she gave me fell out. And so like right when I got the spider bite, the filling fell out and I got infection. I mean, just tons and tons and tons of crappy stuff. And then this is like good. And but he was telling me that the reason I kept wrecking my bike was because I wasn't taking very good care of my body. And with all of the stress on my body, trying to overcome the infections, I was very weak, and I wasn't strong enough to ride my mountain bike, especially on the trails. Like my arms were shaking while I was riding, and I didn't care. I just wanted to be out there in the woods. That's the other side effect of that last NDE, is I cannot stand to be indoors anymore. Like I have to go outside, and I just want to ride my bike in the woods. And he said, you have to stop. And then he started explaining to me that my consciousness is like treating the body like it's the lesser being. And I had to apologize to my body for the way I was treating her and just using her to get everything I wanted and not worried about what was happening to her and how she felt. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, do you feel like your body is just trying to get in touch with you?
Oh yes, and that was the other thing. Like it was a good thing. It was like an awakening thing, and I became aware of myself as the consciousness, and it's not the body. And but I have to develop that relationship with the body so that we're in balance together, and I'm not abusing her or neglecting her, and she can help me serve my purpose here versus always being in ill repair, because I run myself hard. I have run myself hard my whole life. I like to be really active, but I've got so many spiritual things going on, and healing from the whole childhood and all that shit show. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot. That's why I don't work. I spend every day like in prayer, in meditation, in some form of healing and taking care of myself.
Have you discovered what your purpose here is?
Wow. Probably to bring the light of Christ.
Well, you know, it's interesting that, yeah, an interesting thought, because from what you're saying, it sounds like that even Bigfoot is under Jesus.
Oh yes, and they have a master's on the level that we do. And that's the other thing, Jeff, is when I was 15 years old, I ate basically what was a melted sheet of LSD gels, acid. Wow. I was 15 years old, and this is like not one hit or two hit or three hits. It's the whole sheet.
Wow.
And this was back in the 80s. So this was pure. And there was no strychnine or anything in it, like you do with the blotter on the little paper tabs. This was completely, and I had accidentally washed it in my jeans. And when I saw what I did, I like ate what goopy remnants were left. And then I cut the pocket out of my jeans and was sucking on that and chewing on that. And the thing is like when you take LSD, you progressively increase in tripping. Like one thing leads to the next. And then until you're peaking, which is the ultimate, like that's where you're totally not aware of this world and this reality. That never happened. I got to school and was arrested for other activities. I was in trouble all the time. And I remember going to the sheriff's station, and the next thing I know, I was in the presence of these very tall beings that I thought looked like a polar bear. And I didn't grow up with TV, so I didn't know what a Yeti or an abominable snowman was, but now I know that's what they were. And I even think they were wearing clothes, and we were in a snow cave in Tibet, and I was there for 4 days with them. And these were like very intelligent, very benevolent, loving beings. And what they're telling me, what this little Bigfoot's telling me is they're related and I'm related, and he's connected to me being there. Like that's why he's here now. And I probably wouldn't even have accepted that this Bigfoot is talking to me if it weren't for that, because I went there and it was real. I saw these beings, and I just didn't know what it was until this Bigfoot started talking to me and telling me, you remember when this happened, and connecting it all for me. And I'm getting validation, like, because I'm like, I've never even looked into Yeti. I'm like trying to find out like what other people have seen when they've experienced the Yeti. Little paw, come here. You're making noise. And a lot of people say that they do look like a polar bear, and some of them have been very loving, benevolent beings, and they've had good interactions with them. And they have said that they are connected to Bigfoot, like they're related.
You know, it's possible. I mean, it's just like, to me, a Yeti would be a polar bear version of a Sasquatch. You know, so just the same kind of being, but living in a colder environment. And maybe being white versus brown to camouflage in the snow.
Yeah, that's what Sonny was telling me, that he was white and he turned like red when he came here. So probably to blend in with the surroundings, but he's also told me they're not all benevolent beings, that there are factions of them that are at war with people here in America. They're at war.
Wow.
With humans. Wow. You know, and apparently there's some that are at war wherever they're at. There's lower level Yetis, there's lower level Bigfoot, where, you know, like trailer trash Bigfoot versus living in the Himalayas in a Buddhist temple. You know, there's different levels to them. Right. And I never even thought about that. That is interesting.
I haven't either. That I thought, that I just don't know enough about them. But that's an interesting theory, that they're actually in different levels as well. Tina, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us this week and giving us an update. If you have any more updates, come back and let us know what's going on.
I will.
I appreciate you, and you have a great evening.
All right, you too. Bye, Mara. Good night, y'all.
All right, bye-bye. All right, and I want to say first, Tanya paid me $20 for John Scott to come on and give an analysis of my deja vu, or whatever that was. So if John's still there, you have a minute or so to get on before I'll sign off. And I want to say thank you to Leslie Kings from Hong Kong. He gave me HK $38. Hong Kong money. I'm not sure what that translates to, but whatever it is, I'm very appreciative of that. And I really am thankful that you did that for me, Leslie. And I guess you haven't figured out your live music playing to come on and play with us live, because we're still waiting for your concert. So while we're waiting to see if he shows up or not before that, that was really freaky that I, could have sworn I've heard half of that story at some point. That's the freakiest thing that ever happened to me on a live stream. That's for sure. Once again, if you want to join the Discord, the link is there. Our Indie Eclipse channel, a link to that is there. And also there's a link to the @JeffMara Facebook page. That's there. And all right, we got John here to give him his analysis. And then we have what was the last thing? If you want to be my friend on Facebook, it's there as well. All right, John, you with us?
Yes.
All right, so as I was sitting there listening to this story, it was going through my mind that I have already heard this story before, and I was trying to place it. Where did I hear this story? Did someone come on last weekend telling me? Was this another guest or what? And just like I said, up to the part where he was he moved his whole family into his car. That's about where I left off with this story. Did I read it? How am I hearing this story again? It was kind of like, I was like shocked when I was hearing that.
I don't blame you for being shocked. I mean, I remember reading many years ago, I do mention Robert Anton Wilson, I read a lot of his books, and he wrote a book called The Illuminati Trilogy, which was this really crazy rant about world conspiracies. And at the time, it was kind of like, there's only 2 books that I'd ever recommend in your life if you're about to, basically if you're trapped on the moon or you're in jail or anything where you're actually constricted. Read Thomas Pynchon's Gravity's Rainbow. That's a really insane book. And it's kind of like what's going on tonight. Where I wasn't going to come on because I just wanted to sort of sit back and have a coffee, but I thought, Jesus, my coffee been spiked with LSD or something? Because everything, this is really interesting, because Anton Wilson called it chapel perilous, when consciousness, you get to a certain level of synchronicity and coincidence, which ends up manifesting in real time. And you all of a sudden, everything starts overlapping and you don't know if it's your mind or someone else's. And so the difficult part is discerning what the hell is going on. So tonight we've had Michael come on and he was talking about, inside out. And I thought that was really fascinating. I'd like to hear him talk about that again at great length, because I've also used the same analogy that humanity is being transformed from the inside out, whether it be reincarnation, extraterrestrial contact, spiritual transformative experiences, NDEs, OBEs, on and on and on and on, right? And so not only that, but we've got planets, we've got the plants and animals are now communicating, rocks are communicating, which we would have thought crazy, but Sadhguru, the great mystic in India, also sat on a rock. And if anybody knows about him, he got a whole bunch of transmissions sitting on a rock. Christians might poo-poo this and say, "Ooh, this is crazy woo-woo," but hang on, Christ called himself a rock as well. He was the foundation stone of the new temple, which they're referring to a spiritual temple. So it's not so crazy. What's crazy is how we deliver it and how we cross over. And this is where JeffMara or Jeff Reynolds enters in. You have a dream that you think, oh, this is triggering something in me. Now, I've seen this kind of thing before. Sit with it, because it's kind of quite common when you get used to it, and you actually laugh, because it's kind of like the way God plays, or whether outside God or inside God plays with our consciousness. It aligns us up. You align up with this chap, and you said, "Hang on, I had you interrupt and you had this vision or dream vision or a memory." But I've found often that sometimes you can be abducted by ETs as well without realizing it, or you can have a spiritually transformative experience, which is veiled until these events happen. So for some reason, it triggered you to, prompt that gentleman. Now, the weird part about it is I've only been to a few mountains in my life, and Mount Rainier happens to be one of them.
Wow.
Right. And I went there and it was spring, and I'd never seen a squirrel in my life. And this is like when in 1984, I think it was. I was in the military in the Navy, and I went and visited Mount Rainier in my time off. And it was the most glorious, amazing mountain, and something was quite unique about it, but I couldn't put my finger on it back then. Right. But it was absolutely stunning, a stunning mountain. And then, of course, someone else mentions that it's kind of a hot spot for extraterrestrial activity. It's right up there in Seattle, I think, from memory, right on the border.
Right. And there are people, I had a guest on recently that he was an NDE, but he goes back up there from time to time. There's a place near Mount Rainier that I think it's Mount Rainier or Mount Shasta, but I think it's Mount Rainier. There's a campground, and you can go camping there and go look at UFOs at night.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that connection.
Yeah.
But that's kind of weird because, and when one's been on this path for quite some time, you realize that you actually gravitate to these powerful spots, and you go back through your life, and this is when you start to link the dots, and you think there's definitely a much more powerful energy behind it, behind the synchronicities and the visitations. Often, look, a good example for people who are just discovering that they've about reincarnation. Often people will travel to a destination around the planet and they'll go to all these amazing places, but they've been there before. What they're doing is they're re-remembering past lives, which they haven't actually come to fruition in your consciousness yet. So the creator, or your guides, whatever you want to call it, you move to these places and all of a sudden you go pow, and you reflect on 20, 30 years of your life, and you reflect back and you go, oh man, I've been to those places before. There's a knowing. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. And then, of course, Johnny comes on and he sounds just like Nicolas Cage. I love that guy. He's quite thoughtful. He's very deep. And, so I don't know. It's, so in your case, yes, I mean, like myself, sometimes, I've got friends who are highly clairvoyant and very spiritual, and they'll say something, but I know that message is for me because there's a little piece of a jigsaw puzzle that I need to fit into a bigger picture. Like I might get a dream vision, and sometimes we're blinded by just seeing it directly by ourselves. Then another person will actually complement and confirm that the vision or the dream that you got was accurate and correct. This is quite common. And this is when it starts to get really freaky, because everything becomes alive. Everything becomes immanentized or spiritualized. It can be a person, it can be an event, a sign, a bird landing, a synchronistic event where clusters of events come together with no logic. I mean, the Tibetans talk about this stuff a lot. They call it a causal synchronicity. Acausal means it has no causality or linear causality in events. Normally, in linear consciousness, A follows B, follows C, follows D. But when you get these synchronistic clusters, D, B, A, C all come together, and you think, hang on, and you absolutely, you freeze in a psychic synchronistic event, and it unfolds. And you can't speak because it's like, whoa, it's like a deja vu, similar to a deja vu. But you think this is insane. But this happens all the time up in the Himalayas. It's been going on for thousands of years in these mystical places.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you to John for referring his friend that was on yesterday, Colin Scott. I posted him last night, and John hooked me up with him. So thank you, John. And if you guys haven't seen that, check out that video of his motorcycle accident in DE.
Look, I remember I was at sea at the time, but Colin had a shocking accident, and he was, we were all mates. I mean, we lost a lot of friends during that time in hockey. I mean, he was lucky to survive, but I can name 3 people that actually died of mysterious circumstances, and we all knew it because the hockey community was very tight.
Yeah.
And Colin, he's been through so much. Lovely bloke. I mean, and we visited, and he came to my place a few years back.
Yeah.
And I had a really deep insight into possibly what was going on. I'm not sure I was 100% correct, but it was just getting. I really tried to imply or impress on Colin that there was a block there. Whether you know that block could be removed, I don't know. And I tried to work with him on that, and of course he didn't want to, and that's fine.
Right.
And he did mention it last night, which was kind of beautiful. He'll do it in his own time, and there was a much deeper unpacking of that particular event, because I think from memory, Colin met a guy who was his boss, and he's on the other side of the country, right, in Perth, and somebody came into his sphere in the work related, and he had exactly the same name as the guy that was in the accident. And I said, what's the chance? And it was a weird name because Colin had burnt it into his memory. And so there was another synchronistic event. So that compounds exactly what I'm talking about. These weird synchronicities come together like they fold time. You have the event, which is 30 years ago or 20 years ago. Then all of a sudden you have a folding and the event reemerges in a weird, bizarre, synchronistic way. And it's just the odds of it are millions, if not billions to one, the odds. And that's spirit showing you, there's that doorway. Do you want to confront that doorway again? Have a look at it, reflect on it, because, you know, and you look at that event and you go, okay, do I want to confront that fear? Do I want to go through that envelope and really get into my shadow and work with my shadow, which is your deep subconscious, which is infinite? This is why, segueing to the earlier conversation we had last week about what is the higher self. And that's very difficult because everything is your higher self when you keep growing. It's infinite. It's not one Jeff. There's Jeffs at every level, but Jeff needs to discover higher Jeff, and then there's higher Jeff, and then much higher Jeff, and then there's absolute Jeff. And if one's lucky enough, you know, or lucky, I don't know if that's the right word, but if one has the instance where you meet your absolute self, your divine self, then you have to deal with that. And it's like getting a high jump. You've got to keep jumping higher and higher. There's more information involved, you see, and there's more expansion. So it's like an upside down, you know, expansionary process where you start from the point event, which is your ground zero or your singularity, and then you've got to come up and deal with all this new information that is so alien to that physical Jeff, or that conditioned Jeff that we're born into. It's just insane. It's absolutely insane.
I don't know if you heard me earlier, and you may like this guest that I'm gonna post. On Monday. I didn't even know it, but he is a best-selling, maybe even a famous author that writes submarine adventure books. Has many of them out, and he was a Navy guy and a Navy diver and had his NDE. But we are getting down. Well, he was talking about the difference between being here and being there. And here it's like being here is like being abbreviated or being blurred. You're not having your whole self. And I started thinking about that and saying, instead of calling it your higher self, we should just call it your complete self, because when you
I'd go with that.
You tap into your complete self.
A good analogy. Very good. Very good. Yeah, very good descriptor. Because
we're incomplete here. To be here, you're not complete.
And we're on multiple levels. And I was explaining this last night to a friend that because I study a little bit of Kabbalistic mysticism, and it's just like, you know, with Kabbalah or the Tree of Life, you've got 10 spheres, and they're all like onions, right? They have shells or skins of onions. So you've got 10 of them. But they all, like a crystal, they all reflect each other. So 10 times 10 is 100. But then you've got 4 worlds, right? Or dimensions, worlds, frequencies, whatever you want to call them. So that ends up as 400 reflections, not just on an individual consciousness. And this is probably translated as mansions in Christian surface texts. So it says, there are many mansions in my realm, in my kingdom. But not only that, you've got the singular 400 mansions, but then they apply it to the collective tree of life, because everyone has a tree of life. So you times that by 7 or 8 billion. This is how many mansions of consciousness we're dealing with.
Right.
400 times 7 billion. I mean, it's just off the charts. This is why reality tunnels or subjective bias, cognitive, all of this is valued. And it's very, very hard to it's almost impossible to see the gestalt, the broader view I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Did you catch my podcast the other day with Nomi Freeman, the rabbi's wife, and about Kabbalah?
Yeah, I started watching that. Yeah, it was very informative.
Fascinating to learn that not only is there a Kabbalah book called Reincarnation, but she was talking about in the Kabbalah, they even talk about your higher self.
Correct. I was looking for that PDF. I'm sure that they've got free PDFs on this. This is the thing: is Kabbalah is so deep, and again, we've got these ancient Jewish mystics called Tzaddikim, and they would translate a lot of this stuff, and there's many of them who are very famous. I tend not to go too far into the traditionalist exegesis or the traditionalist Kabbalistic view because of my experience. I wanted to try and keep it pure. I have different translations. I mean, this is something that's really could take the rest of my life to translate some of this original stuff. And one has to remember that the Jewish mystics inherited it from an earlier civilization, and it just didn't manifest in the Semitic region. It obviously, once you go deeper, you realize this is a much more ancient process that they inherited. It's just like things move around, there's a movement of sacred knowledge. And this is where, people get stuck in the whole concept that the whole mystic Semitic belief system or the Abrahamic religion started in Israel or Jerusalem, and that's not true. They inherited it from Egypt. This is from what I'm finding, because you've still got Ethiopic translations, North Africa. The Africans are left totally out of this. The Kemet people in general, they know this. The Kemet people know this. The Africans and African Americans who get into this, they know about this. The relationship between the origins of Christianity coming out of Africa. And what's weird is everybody goes on about anthropological emergence out of Africa, but they don't talk about religion coming out of Africa. A religion somehow spontaneously combusted, elsewhere in another nation. No, I mean, top end scholars know this. You got to get into PhD stuff to understand the connection, that there's lineage that goes back, and a lot of it was hidden. It had to be hidden.
Right. Yeah,
it had to be hidden because the average person wasn't available. They couldn't even read or write back then.
Right. Right. That makes a lot of sense. All right,
Yeah.
John. It's way over. I usually finish at 9, and it's 10:07 today.
Well, man, they're talking about getting you on a marathon. I think we should get an open Zoom with a stack of people and get an open Zoom.
I got to do a
happening.
24-hour stream like the video gamers do.
Well, you can go off and drink your latte and come back, and we'll all be arguing. I mean, this is what I always dreamed of, was having a 24-hour channel where you have everybody in there, having a talk.
Right. Well, you can do that on Discord. In Discord, I think you can do video chat, and you guys can just chat 24/7.
Well, perhaps.
There's 253 people here watching, and there's like 350. I don't know what the Discord is up to now. I can tell you 11, 357, 368 people there, so we can get you guys all at once. You can have a 24-hour party, a 24-hour NDE paranormal party in Discord.
Well, you can get Stephen Clarke coming on and doing his, or Clarke, I don't know how you say his name. He could break it up with a bit of cake. We can get old Cakey coming on and breaking it up with a bit of humour and a few, just interludes. Interludes of lighten up. It's getting too serious here.
Yeah, it gets too serious. He's got to
do a Donald Duck on us or something. I don't know.
Lighten up the situation.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, but hey, thanks for coming in and giving. What? My wife is saying it on a flat screen.
What?
Oh yeah, she was asking about the flat Earth. You can also break it up with talking about the flat Earth.
Well, I've only got one question for flat Earthers. How do the comets get through the little holes? Like when they come through and hit the planet, do they open up little holes like portals for the comets to smash us? Who polishes the firmament? The glass dome. Where does the lava come from? Is that on the other side, on the underside of the disk? I mean, these are big questions,
I wish I would have had he offered that if you could prove him wrong, he would buy you a Bitcoin. And I think at the time it was like $30,000. And
look, if he's got enough money to buy a Bitcoin, what is it? Look, he can go and get a Qantas flight, an Australian flight. They'll take you around Antarctica as a tourist flight. They've got them, and they're only cost about a couple of grand, I think, and you just fly down there. And if you pay the pilot off, I'm sure with a Bitcoin, he'll take you right round the whole of Antarctica if you're lucky.
There you go.
And beyond the wall,
I wasn't prepped for that. I wish I would have been prepped to know that he was, he made this offer, that I would have had more. I didn't have any questions to, try to win my Bitcoin.
You can't prep for a flat earther, mate. It's impossible. Just agree with them and move on. Listen, this is the irony. Is if I think it kind of adds to the flavour of human consciousness. And if you believe in flat earth, that's great. But how does it affect your spiritual growth? Does it matter?
Yeah.
If the earth is flat, round, or square, it's actually bulging at the equator. If you really want to know, it's bulging because it's a spinning body. So the equatorial plane is bulging wider, and once you start to work out the concentric circles and all of that stuff, you'll figure out that it's like, I could go into the physics of it because I saw the nature of gravity in my NDE and how that works. And definitely mostly everybody, in fact, the universe is ovoid. It's not round, it's actually ovoid.
Yeah.
And that much I gleaned from my own experience. Yeah.
I think even the path that the Earth makes around the sun isn't an exact circle. It's more of a
probably not. It's probably
oval.
more elliptical. Yeah, exactly. I agree with that because you're dealing with spin. What they're trying to figure out is that, look, scientists don't know why photons spin. They don't know why atoms spin. They're trying to work that out. So if the scientists can't figure that out, they can't figure out why the Earth spins. They'll never figure out why the universe spins. That's the mystery behind everything. It is the be-all encompassing, the unified field theory. I mean, they always talk in terms of duality, especially in physics. They talk in terms of duality. This affects that. It's like, no, there's something beyond that even. But you can only intuit it through consciousness. We can experience it. The NDE, as I said in my book, I traveled through a black hole. I went through the singularity. I saw the other side, and it's just incomprehensible. It exists. I know it exists, but I can't prove it. That's why I wrote about black string theory. It was a term that I actually coined, was black string theory. And I could go into great detail about it, Jeff, on another podcast about how black holes interact with suns. They're connected, and they can travel vast distances, light years, instantaneously, because the photons skip once they enter the black hole. They skip vast distances depending on the relative gravitational field. I mean, I might lose viewers on this, but this is the kind of stuff I was coming back with. And of course, when the photon re-emerges at the other end, it forms suns. And this is why suns give off great gravitational waves in duality and, two poles. And they're pure, raw, binary forces of two forces that hold the whole universe together, a weak and strong force, and they manifest in suns. That's the only place we'll see them. So if we study suns and we study black holes, they're both connected, but no one's been able to pass through them, obviously. ETs can pass through them. They can pass through them.
Wow,
sure.
They must be way ahead of us in technology.
One would assume, based off that. Yeah. So this is how. Anyway, you want to go? So it's time for you to.
It's time for me to get going. But
I can hear your pillow calling, Jeff.
No. I could probably go to bed about 2 a.m. in the morning every night, so I'm always up still doing stuff.
Well, hell, let's just keep this thing going.
I got to get. I haven't even eaten dinner, and I want to work. I have an NDE that I've got to even start the editing for tomorrow.
Okay, yeah,
I didn't even
got a lot of work to do
either, so I'm still going. Yeah. I'm not going to sleep. I'm maybe having a bite to eat, and then maybe do a little work, going back to work.
Mara, we need a couscous. One couscous and one latte, one chai.
So
Okay,
on
Jeff.
that, thanks for coming by and hanging out with us, and maybe I'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me again.
All right, cheers.
Bye.
Alrighty, guys. So before I go, I can't show it to you. I'm gonna have it in my hand if it helps you energetically. But I have next week's remote viewing object in my hand. It'll be on my desk all week long. So I have the next thing, and I will show it to you next week. So if again I have something in my hand, it's something for you to remote view. It'll be interesting to see if you guys can figure it out. And I've been bad about not, having something. So I'm going to put it over. And it will be waiting for you there. So again, guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me this Saturday. I really appreciate you guys. And, have a great week. And a great rest of your weekend. And we love you, and God bless you, and good night. One second. I'm